Good evening. The school committee business session of May 13th, 2024 will now come to order. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available for viewing on the Methuen Public Schools website. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Ryan DiZoglio.
Present.
Mary Beth Donovan.
Present.
Lori Keegan.
Present.
Kristen Maxwell.
Present.
Daniel Shabelia.
Present.
Kenneth Willett.
Here.
Mayor Neil Perry.
Here. Thank you all. May I have a motion and a second to accept the agenda for May 13th, 2024 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by the vice chair, seconded by member Shabelia. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Member DiZoglio.
Thank you. I would like to add an amendment to old business and put nominations for the subcommittee for residency. I've been waiting for like a month. Yes, you can through Robert's rules. Before the agenda could be accepted, I can file an amendment.
So we have an amendment suggestion to add nominations for what subcommittee? Member DiZoglio?
The residency subcommittee.
See subcommittee. Thank you. Any second on that?
I'll second it.
Seconded by member Shabelia. Any other discussion on the friendly amendment?
So I guess my only comment is, given that we're going to put that policy through review, do we still need the subcommittee?
I would just like to have it just in case with other future things, just to be in order, especially for the new school year coming up with that policy. It would be nice to have it in place, so if we do meet, and if we have any questions about the policy, we can meet with those people involved.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Seeing no other discussion. All those in favor of the amendment, so we're all here, so we don't need a roll call, correct?
Correct.
All right. So all those in favor of the friendly amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Present.
Thank you. Carries 6-1.
Mayor, I'm sorry, can I just ask a question, please? Am I putting that under business from the committee or other business from the committee? I
Other
didn't-
business from the committee,
Okay, thank you.
please. Thank you. Now may I have a motion and a second to accept the amended agenda for May 13th, 2024?
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by member Shabelia, seconded by member Donovan. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you, the ayes carry. Moving on. Superintendent, would you please introduce our student for tonight's flag salute?
It'd be my pleasure. I'd like to call up Gianna Bucco from the CGS and the supervising principal, Katie Proetti, to come up and introduce her. And Mary Ellen Lucas, who I think is here as well behind me.
Yep, here we go. Good evening. Gianna Bucco is a CGS fourth grade student. Her teacher is Miss Elsie. She's been attending the CGS since kindergarten. Gianna is a dedicated student who strives at all times to do her best. She is a kind friend and a dedicated student. Miss Elsie was more than eager to recommend Gianna for tonight's flag salute. Her teacher shared she is a passionate and hardworking student who consistently goes above and beyond in not only her academics, but also in the way she presents herself every day by following the CGS expectations. Gianna's ability to inspire everyone around her and her driven personality are truly remarkable. Gianna's family includes Mom Andrea, Dad Rob, Sister Ava, grandparents Rita, Lorraine, and Bob, and last but certainly not least, her dog Dwight. Gianna's favorite subjects are art and science. Her sense of humor, caring heart, compassion, determination, helpfulness, and creativity shine in all subject areas. Gianna is very active and has many hobbies. Get ready. These include tennis, track, singing, reading, drawing, dancing, swimming, skateboarding, kayaking, paddleboarding, playing piano, and cooking. She's exhausted. Her short-term goals include improving in tennis and track, learning piano, joining chorus, and improving kayaking skills. When she grows up, Gianna would love to be a singer or shop owner. No matter what she chooses, she is sure to be amazing. Please help us welcome one of the CGS best, Gianna Bucco, for our flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nicely done, nicely done. They're not coming with you. Yeah. Yeah. How are you? Yeah. Congrats. Congrats. Excellent job. Excellent job. Thank you. Moving on, Madam Superintendent, would you please introduce our SOAR Award recipients?
Yes, I would like to first call Marla De La Cruz up, our Director of Special Education, to introduce, I think one of our teachers is here to help introduce Anthony Cardone. Could also come up? Yes. Come on up. Come stand next to him.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marla De La Cruz. I'm the program coordinator for special education in Methuen High School. Ready? All right. What a wonderful opportunity to be here with you, Anthony, today, celebrating not only you, but so many wonderful students that participate in Methuen High School. It is my pleasure to be part of an amazing team of educators, program assistants, related service providers, administrators, and so many more who have guided you, supported you through all of your successes. It is my privilege to learn and also to celebrate with everyone here all of your successes. And Mr. Taggart, behind us, will have an opportunity to really just highlight all of those accomplishments for us today. Anthony, I'm so proud of you, and your smile and your positive energy radiates every day, in every hallway, in every classroom, in every space at Methuen High School. So thank you. Mr. Taggart?
Thank you, Mrs. Dela Cruz, Madam Superintendent, Mr. Chairman. We are pleased to announce Anthony Cardone as this year's SOAR Award recipient. Anthony is the son of Christina Cardone. Over the past 4 years, Anthony has demonstrated significant social, intellectual, and personal growth. He has earned the appreciation of his classmates and teachers alike with his conviviality, generosity, kind-heartedness, and infectious smile. Anthony has worked hard in his classes and achieved beyond what many may have expected of him. With the new math curriculum his sophomore year, when I had Anthony in class, Anthony picked up some difficult algebraic concepts. He persisted through the challenge problems once he finished early and began to catch and correct his errors. He's on track to earn an A in math for the 3rd consecutive year, and his current math teacher, Jen Donahoe, notes Anthony's drive, adding, he never gives up, he's always willing to try, and willing to help other students. Anthony's English teacher, Lori Alino, writes, in English class, Anthony's creativity knows no bounds as he weaves imaginative tales that captivate the room. His stories are a testament to his vivid imagination and his skillful storytelling. Even more so than Anthony's hard work, persistence, and achievement in class, each of which is certainly commendable in its own right, Anthony's unparalleled joie de vivre is how he has left his mark. Kevin Adams writes, last year I had the pleasure of having Anthony twice in class for history and skills. His genuine, amicable excitedness always brightened my day as a teacher, since he always arrived with a high five or a hug. His friendliness poured out to his classmates as he volunteered to answer questions and work with others on his assignments. Lori Alino adds, beyond his literary talents, Anthony's infectious energy uplifts those around him, brightening even the dreariest of days. His presence is a beacon of positivity, infusing the classroom with warmth and enthusiasm, making each lesson a joyous adventure. Anthony has also worked in the school's coffee shop, and he's helped deliver the newspaper to classrooms. He participates in the Best Buddies Club. Kevin Adams, who serves as the club advisor, adds, it was not uncommon to hear Anthony and me chanting Best Buddies, throughout the school day when we'd see each other and as we marched to join the club on its meeting day. He was always so excited to participate in the club after school, again, supporting and spreading kindness and enthusiasm to the other members of the club. Anthony also participates in the school's unified basketball and unified track teams. Says teacher and coach Peter Romanowski, what sticks out is his ability to encourage his classmates in the classroom and teammates on the unified sports teams. Anthony consistently has positive comments, words of encouragement, and applause for his peers. Next year, Anthony will attend Methuen's Transitions Academy to further develop his vocational and his life skills. This will get Anthony out in the community, and wherever he goes, his effervescent demeanor and his ever-present smile will no doubt have the same warm and positive effect on those with whom he comes into contact. As Peter Romanowski adds, I wish every teacher and coach could have an Anthony in his or her life. We are proud and honored to recognize such a young man for his infectious enthusiasm, his ebullient approach to almost everything he does, and the joie de vivre that he seems to transmit to all those around him. Anthony Cardoni as our SOAR Award winner for 2024.
Thank you, guys. Have all of them. Thank you, guys.
It's okay. It's all right. Congrats. Congrats. Great job. Is there not one more SOAR?
There is
Yep.
one more SOAR
Yep.
award, yep. I'd like to call up Christine Stogler, our department chair for our English language learners. And our student for that department tonight for the SOAR award is Bao Din. Come join her, please. Ooh, quick.
It is my pleasure to introduce Bao Din as the SOAR Award recipient for the English Learner Education Department. Bao has demonstrated academic persistence and excellence since enrolling at Methuen High School in the fall of 2021. Bao's desire to be successful is evident in his challenging academic course load, which currently includes honors pre-calculus and honors cybersecurity. In addition to his impressive 3.9 GPA, Bao has earned the seal of biliteracy in English and Vietnamese. Born in Vietnam, Bao and his family moved to the United States in the fall of 2020. His first year of schooling in the U.S., while not in Methuen, consisted of attending school in person 2 days a week and working independently the other 3 days. For many students, this would have derailed their path to academic success. However, Bao persevered and pushed forward. He enrolled at Methuen High School starting his sophomore year and immediately began working towards his academic goals. He filled his schedule with challenging content classes while still working to develop proficiency in the English language. His determination and hard work has allowed him to gain a level of English language mastery that typically takes many more years of study to achieve. Bao is quoted as saying, "Education is very important to me. I want to be successful and help my family out. That is why I study so hard." Bao's teachers were delighted to hear that he was earning the SOAR Award this evening. Mr. Gordon, his physics teacher, stated, "He is such a hard worker who never has any excuses and who always works hard to learn from his mistakes. He has gained confidence as the year has progressed and has really pushed himself to speak up and participate orally in class." Bao's English development teacher, Miss Andrews, wrote, "Bao has demonstrated an extraordinary ability to remain focused on his vision, as well as every step and task it requires, no matter what obstacles or challenges come his way. From navigating hardships outside of school and being a source of support and strength for his family, to overcoming barriers in school as he adjusted to a completely different culture, country, language, education system, Bao has triumphed in the face of many challenges that even he did not know he could face. In the classroom, he is always found immersed in the academic task at hand, making every assignment his best. His work never falls short of exemplary in terms of effort, output, critical thinking, and academic rigor. Even while being devoted to his studies, he makes time to interact with his teacher and classmates. His comments during class discussions exhibit his thoughtfulness and maturity. In his free time, Bao participates in the esports club and plays soccer. After graduation, Bao plans to attend Middlesex Community College and study cybersecurity. Ms. Nartev, Bao's cybersecurity teacher, shared this. Bao's genuine passion for computer science is evident through his enthusiastic engagement and commitment to the subject. Currently excelling in his cybersecurity class, Bao consistently shows a deep understanding of complex concepts and a proactive approach to problem solving. He has also demonstrated practical skills in the Project Lead the Way virtual lab environment. Bao is an outstanding student with a bright future ahead of him in the computer science field. The entire ELE department congratulates Bao on being the SOAR Award recipient for the English Learner Education Department.
So I want to say this is such an honor for me to win this award, and I want to say thank you to my family, especially my grandparents, because without them, me and my family would not be here in America. And I want to say thank you to my dad, my mom, my girlfriend, and my younger brother. And lastly, I want to say thank you to Methuen High School and all the teachers and the staff for creating such a great environment for students to study like me. Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Superintendent, would you please introduce our Methuen High School Teacher of the Year?
Yes, so this is always an exciting time for us. We have some folks in the crowd with us to celebrate our Teacher of the Year. Each year, the principals select a Teacher of the Year to acknowledge and to celebrate, and we have so many of them. This was a great tradition that we started probably, I'm going to say 10 years ago, bringing them all to school committee. So we will start with Methuen High School, and I'll call up Mr. Barden and our Methuen High School Teacher of the Year, Jason Smith.
Good evening, everyone. It's with great pride that I present science teacher Jason Smith as the 2023-2024 Methuen High School Teacher of the Year. Here with us this evening to recognize Jason is his mom, Pat, his father, Ken, his wife, Kerry, his two sons, Braden and Colby, Science Department Chair and AP Coordinator Joe Harb, Interim Associate Principal Jackie Rubino, who also coaches with Jason, his colleague and wonderful biology teacher, Jason LaPointe, who also works with Jason with swim and dive and softball. And then the loudest group so far tonight, the softball team over here. So, okay with that. And they're happy to be here because they just hustled back from their 15-1 win over Westford. So
Yeah.
that's good, yeah. So Mr. Smith is a dedicated science teacher of over 25 years at Methuen High School and a valued member of our science department. A true professional, Jason is extremely enthusiastic and always demonstrates a willingness to do whatever it takes for his students to succeed. One of Mr. Smith's greatest strengths is that he works well with students of all ages and abilities and serves as an outstanding role model for students, athletes, and colleagues. His affable personality makes Mr. Smith very approachable. His instruction serves students of varying learning styles and actively engages all levels of students through small group projects and hands-on anatomy and physiology labs. Planned and well organized are accurate words to describe Mr. Smith's teaching. His provisioning is excellent, while his dissection experiments in the lab always grab the attention of his students. Mr. Smith routinely instills in his students a sense of respect for others, confidence in one another, and disciplined study habits. An outstanding resource for new teachers, Mr. Smith has worked hard to build a strong anatomy and physiology course designed to prepare students who have an interest in the allied health fields. The consummate colleague, he is very generous with his time and takes great interest in the ideas of others. He enthusiastically shares engaging lesson plans and sound educational practices with his fellow anatomy teachers. Mr. Smith is known as a teacher with high expectations. Moreover, he is a teacher who consistently sets high standards and goals for his students and takes pride in his students achieving those goals. Mr. Smith sends the most important message to all of his students. You can do this, and I'm not giving up on you. Mr. Smith is the type of educational leader that every school needs. He is the wise professional who can act as the backbone of a school's approach to education. When Mr. Smith is done with the school day, you can find him at the pool or on the softball field. For nearly 20 years, he has led the swim and dive and softball programs to victory. His passion and dedication to his athletes is beyond impressive. He has been the recipient of many Coach of the Year awards, team championships, trips to the state tournament. For softball, it is 17 consecutive berths and 2 state tournament final games, record-breaking swimmers and swim teams, and more. Most notably is his ability to create a culture of success, hard work, and integrity. His athletes are held to high standards on the field and in the pool, as well as in school and in the community. With a kind and empathetic way, he expects the very best and settles for nothing less. The administration at Methuen High School truly admires Mr. Smith's innate ability to inspire, empower, and obtain the best effort from his students. If you visit his classroom or attend an athletic contest, it's obvious that Mr. Smith is an incredible science teacher and coach who takes great pride in supporting and motivating students at Methuen High School to be the very best they can be. For over 25 years, Mr. Smith has proven to be an extremely versatile educator and one who teachers, students, and families hold in high regard. We are fortunate to have Mr. Smith as a highly respected member of our school community who makes a positive impact on the lives of our students. Congratulations to Jason Smith on this most deserving recognition of Methuen High School Teacher of the Year.
Thank you so much. I apologize for my appearance, but I literally came just off the field. So I'd like to thank everybody so much for this tremendous recognition. Where has the time gone? It seems like just yesterday I was taking a tour of Methuen High School after my interview and thinking to myself, where are the walls? Mr. Nick and John Moore sold me on this place, and they took a chance on a young kid from upstate New York. It's 26 years later. We have a beautiful building with walls, and I'm still here. There are so many people to thank that have helped me along this great journey. I've had a number of great mentors, Roger Fuller, Pete Salemi, and Joe Roblard, to name a few. Thank you for your infinite wisdom and guidance. I've had the opportunity to teach and coach some of the greatest kids, many of whom have gone on to do great things in their lives, some of which are here today. To all of my former and current students in physical science, biology, AP biology, anatomy and physiology, and to all my athletes in swim and dive, softball, and even basketball, thank you for the impact that you have made on Methuen and on my life. To my current colleagues, I couldn't have asked for a more sharing and helpful group of people. Mr. Barden, Mr. Harb, Matt Curran, Martha Tatro, Mo Melanson, Kevin Shagru, Tom Mullings, Kevin Elliott, Kevin O'Laughlin, and especially Al Delano, Jason LaPointe, and Jackie Rubino. You are the best co-workers, and you make coming to work a pleasure. But more importantly, I appreciate your friendship. Thank you. And most importantly, thank you to my amazing family. Words cannot express how much you all mean to me. As you know, this job does not stop at 2 p.m. Every afternoon. There are papers to correct, grades to input, practices to run, and games to attend. They have had to share me with teaching and coaching, but they have done it without complaint. I'm fortunate enough to have such support from my in-laws, Frank and Nancy. My parents, Ken and Pat, moved out here from New York a few years ago, and I can't begin to tell you how much they have impacted my life and how much they are behind me and my career here at Methuen High. To my wife, Karen, thank you for being my best friend, my rock, and the best mom to our boys. Braden and Colby, I am so proud of the young men that you are and excited to see what the future holds for each of you. Love you all. Thank you so much for this wonderful honor. It is truly humbling.
Congrats. Superintendent, the Marsh?
Yep. So I'd like to call up Supervising Principal Rebecca Gordon and the Marsh Teacher of the Year, Christina Conlon. Well, me and you. No.
You coming too?
Okay.
It is with the utmost delight and enthusiasm that we recommend Christina Conlon for the prestigious Methuen Public Schools Teacher of the Year Award. Ms. Conlon has been an esteemed member of the Marsh Grammar School faculty since 2014, where she has been serving as a grade 4 ELA classroom teacher. Ms. Conlon's exceptional leadership skills, both inside and outside the classroom, her dedication to and passion for teaching literacy, her optimistic disposition, and her commitment to modeling lifelong learning are the reasons why she is deserving of this recognition. Ms. Conlon ensures that all of our students are set up for success within the classroom. She has adeptly adopted our new literacy curriculum and worked tirelessly to make it accessible to all students. Furthermore, Ms. Conlon is highly perceptive of her students' social emotional needs and is willing to provide unwavering support to students in this regard. Her classroom is a hub of student engagement and conversations about reading, where students' voices are as prominent as hers. Ms. Conlon has laid out routines and expectations for her students, empowering them to take ownership of their learning. This year, Ms. Conlon has shown remarkable leadership skills within the ELA department and among her colleagues. She has provided essential support to new and veteran teachers in all aspects related to ELA and our new curriculum resources. Her door is always open to her colleagues for quality peer observations and to brainstorm new ideas. Her colleagues continually seek her out for curriculum support, and she embodies the spirit of a self-starter and a lifelong learner. We wholeheartedly believe that Ms. Conlon exemplifies the characteristics of an outstanding teacher, mentor, and colleague, and is thoroughly deserving of this recognition. The Marsh community is enormously fortunate to have Ms. Conlon on our team, and we are exceptionally grateful for her contributions. We extend a heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Conlon.
Thank you. Thank you to Rebecca, Rob, Jen, Dr. Kwong, and the school committee. Thanks to Teddy and Dave and my parents for being here too. I feel so honored and truly appreciate my administration for their kind words and support. Every teacher at the Marsh works so hard, and I'm so fortunate to have the most incredible 7th grade team. I couldn't be more grateful to be part of such an inspiring community and have the best colleagues by my side. I am so appreciative of the amazing educators, students, and families that I work with every day. Thank you to my wonderful students for working so hard and embracing all that 7th grade throws at them. Your curiosity, enthusiasm, and resilience continually reminds me of the impact education has on shaping the future. Every day my students inspire me, challenge me, and make me laugh, and I'm so proud of all of them. Methuen is a very special community, and I hope our students know how much we all care about them. I truly enjoy coming to work every day, and I feel so blessed to love what I do. Thank you.
Congrats. Congrats. Moving on to the Tenny.
Yes, so unfortunately, Mr. Hill couldn't be here tonight, but we have Ms. Goyette, I believe, to introduce our Teacher of the Year for the Tenny, Laura DePlacido.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's with great pleasure and pride that I'm here to introduce Laura DePlacido as our Tenny Grammar School Teacher of the Year. Laura is joined here tonight by her husband, Mike DePlacido, and her daughter, Emmy. Her daughter, Lila, was unable to attend due to her own chorus concert. And she's also here with her parents, Mr. and Mr. Abraham, and a big Tenny fan club to my right. During the past 20 years, Laura has worked at the Tenny as both a 6th grade teacher and a school guidance counselor in the lower school. She has worked tirelessly as an advocate for her students' learning, whether it be in math and science or students' social and emotional learning and development. When the opportunity arose to leave her middle school classroom and cross the bridge to the lower school side, Laura took the chance and decided it was the right time to make a transition from classroom teacher to school counselor. As a school counselor, she jumped right in, meeting and introducing herself to staff, students, and their families. Her eagerness to become a part of the Laura School team was powerful. Laura is someone who the staff, students, and their families instantly connected with. She confidently and easily built relationships and quickly demonstrated she was capable of facing any challenge head-on. Fourth grade teacher and former sixth grade team teaching partner, Alyssa Saltzman states, Laura will go above and beyond what she needs to do to accomplish something. You can truly see her passion for caring for kids and us as colleagues. No matter what she is always doing, she's always smiling. She sees the best in everyone and always looks at all angles before making any decisions or judgments. She's always helped me look at different sides and different ways to approach a problem or a behavior. Today, Laura is seen as a leader of the Teddy Guidance team. She mentors new counselors and never shies away from lending a helping hand when needed, especially when things get tough. Laura is generous with her time and knowledge of our students. She eagerly shares her years of successful teaching experience with new teachers that are just beginning their journey. She is an invaluable resource and someone whom anyone can go to with questions and advice. Her colleague, Kim Nutter, states, Laura DePlacido is one of the very best people I know, both professionally and personally. Professionally, because she is an amazing school counselor who is always available to our students and our team. She works relentlessly to ensure her students feel safe and supported and valued in all areas of their lives. Although she's only been a school counselor for 4 years, she is definitely a leader in our department and someone whom I love collaborating and sharing ideas with. Personally, Laura is a great friend who's always doing things for others. What is best for the student is always at the forefront of Laura's decision-making and guides her work here at the Tenney. Her willingness to support all students is profound, as she's always able to find the good in every student with a desire to celebrate their successes, no matter the size. Her care for students runs deep and is demonstrated daily in her interactions with students in the classroom and at lunch and recess by helping students make positive decisions to develop an inclusive culture where everyone is treated with respect and kindness. In addition to providing students with school-based guidance support, Laura schedules time in every fourth grade classroom to teach social and emotional skill-based lessons. This year, the focus was on invisible disabilities and what students may carry in their backpacks to school every day and the size of the problem. Evidence of her impact within these sessions can be heard by students using this language from their lessons and applying these strategies in settings across our school. Laura has helped to build the Tenney community to what it is today, including participating and volunteering in after-school events with families. Over the past 2 decades, she's been a constant positive force in making our school a place where students want to learn, grow, and feel included. We, the Tenney community, could not be more proud of a more deserving colleague who has made a difference in the lives of so many. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm extremely grateful to receive this award. This honor is a testament to the support and dedication of the community that surrounds me. First, I'd like to thank my administration and my colleagues for their commitment to our students and to each other. Through collaboration, teamwork, and shared values, we're able to support a creative learning environment. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to work alongside so many amazing individuals who are not only my coworkers, but also my friends. To my students, thank you for trusting in me and for allowing me to guide you on your journey. Every day, I continue to learn from and to grow with you. I'd also like to thank the incredible support system that stands beside me every step of the way. To my family, especially my husband, my daughters, and my parents, thank you for your unconditional love, patience, and encouragement. Your endless support has given me the strength to overcome challenges and reach new goals in my career and personal growth. Thank you again for this honor. I'm grateful for the opportunity to educate and inspire students within the Tenney community.
That's okay. Congrats. Moving on to the Timony.
We have a couple schools left. All right, so I'd like to call up Chris Reeve, the supervising principal at the Timony, and Karen Krull, our Timony Teacher of the Year.
Oh, there we go. Hi. Well, Karen really loves the spotlight, so I promised her that I'd skip to the script so she can get right to the thank you speech. So there'll be no jokes, Karen. No mention of the fact that you're from Wisconsin, land of wide open spaces, cows, and delicious cheeses. No, we'll stick right to the script. All right. I would like to present school psychologist Karen Krull as the 2024 Donald P. Timony Grammar School Teacher of the Year. She's been a member of the Methuen Public Schools since February of 1995. Ms. Krull has a bachelor's degree in psychology from Carroll College, Wisconsin, and a master's degree and CAGS in psychology from Tufts University. In her time at the Timony, Karen has proven to be a vital member of our school. One thing you learn quickly as an educator is that each student is different and needs different things. In every classroom, you find a wide range of learning styles. One of the biggest challenges for educators is to do our best to figure out what that style is so we can provide effective strategies to support their learning process. Sometimes a student's learning profile is so complex, the need for special education is considered. This is where Karen and her expertise come in. Her role as a school psychologist is to evaluate the relative strengths, weaknesses, and abilities of a student and craft recommendations to help make that student successful. This inevitably starts with her in-depth understanding of each child she is testing and family with which she works. Her ability to develop trusting relationships with students during the testing process in such a short amount of time is exceptional and essential in her charge to create the best picture of how the child learns and what they need. Once this picture is developed, Karen is exceedingly skillful in communicating often sensitive and emotional information to families in an empathetic and supportive way. Her great success, I believe, is due to her experience, knowledge base, and sincere want to help each student with which she evaluates. Her excellent work is instrumental to teachers across the whole building in our pursuit to educate all students. Karen is always available to consult with building staff throughout the day. I often seek her out for her expertise while I'm grabbing handfuls of pretzels and jamming them in my pockets because the snacks are right by her office, in gaining understanding of different student situations. But this is what Karen's colleagues had to say when asked what she brings to the Timony team. Karen is smart and insightful. She does an incredible job of connecting with the students' parents during IEP meetings and is always able to share information in a way that is accessible to everyone in the room. She has a wealth of knowledge and is a great resource. Karen is always willing to help and is the definition of a team player. We are lucky to have her. Karen Krull is truly a gift to this building. She's incredibly knowledgeable and has a special way of making students feel and understood while in her presence. She's a great listener with the most thoughtful responses who goes above and beyond to capture the entire picture of every child she works with. She has a welcoming space that I've entered countless times for both personal and professional reasons. I trust her judgment and have learned so much from her over the years. We are so lucky to have Karen. It's clear from Karen's reports that she's spent the time getting to know her students and families in order to make recommendations that best meet the students' needs. Karen is able to deliver evaluation results to families in a way that they can easily understand, as well as being compassionate and empathetic when presenting information that may be difficult for them to hear. Karen has a unique ability to form relationships with students, and it is clear that she enjoys all of the interactions she has with them. Oftentimes, her students are asking their teachers if they can go back to Ms. Krull's room to do work. Karen should be commended for her enthusiasm, her enthusiasm for her profession and her dedication to the students at the Timoney School. So it's my pleasure to present Ms. Karen Krull as the Donald P. Timoney Teacher of the Year.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Reeve, and to the Timoney administration for nominating me and giving me the recognition, but also for all the kind words from the staff. This truly came as a shock to me, and I'm still finding this quite unbelievable, for sure. And I have to say, I was first told that this meeting was going to happen in June, and then when I found out it was tonight, and knowing it's in front of the entire school community, this is not my forte. After hearing all those strengths, this is not it. But on a serious note, in my position, I have the opportunity to be in a lot of classrooms, so I see all the hard work that my colleagues are doing on a daily basis. So to be chosen over them is definitely humbling. The other reason I'm in shock is because if I think about it, a lot of the reason I'm able to do my job so well is due to the input I get from the staff. They all know the kids so well and provide me with so much of the information that I present at my meetings. I'm always appreciative of the time that they put into filling out my rating scales because some of them are really long and I know that the teachers have a lot on their plates. But they really help me gain a better understanding of the kids that I work with. Most importantly, I absolutely love working with our kids. They truly are the best part of my day and I have so much fun spending time with them. I am lucky enough to be in my position to work one-on-one with them so I can get to know them on a whole different level. Unfortunately, I can only work with them for a short amount of time, so the saddest part of my job is that when the last visit is over. But they always put a smile on my face when I can see them in the classrooms or in the hallways. I just really wanted to give a shout out to my family who unfortunately couldn't be here because they're literally in every other time zone but ours. I know that they are cheering me on from afar, and to my parents who I love dearly, they've instilled in me my work ethic but also my perseverance, and for that I'm ever so grateful. I also want to say thank you to Nicole and my in-laws who are here supporting me tonight, although half of them are teachers, so I'm not sure if they're here for me or the contract, so let's be real. Just as a final thought, thank you again for all the thoughtful words, and I'm truly appreciative to be given this recognition. I really, really loved being at the Timoney for all these years. Being with the kids, the staff, and the family, it's the best place to be. Thank you.
Congrats.
Say cheese.
Congrats. Congrats. Superintendent, will you introduce our comprehensive grammar school and Rotary Club Teacher of the Year?
Yes, so again, the pleasure of introducing Katie Proetti, Supervising Principal of the CGS, and Carrie Capua, who is the CGS Teacher of the Year and will also be representing Methuen Public Schools as the Teacher of the Year at the Rotary Club tomorrow evening. I was trying. We're good. We're good. Green. Good evening, everyone. I know I'm short. I know. Thank you.
As our leadership team met to discuss the merits of naming Carrie Capua Teacher of the Year, we determined she has qualities that make a teacher not only engaging and successful, they make a teacher exceptional. Carrie jumps at the opportunity to support each learner, encourage colleagues, engage in initiatives, and build mentorship opportunities. She's been committed to the success of all Methuen students and staff for 7 years. Carrie has distinguished herself as a focused teacher who persists to find strengths in each child she works with, building trust and confidence. Her tireless efforts are targeted at building the skills of the whole child. When speaking with a student in her current class, she beautifully captured the impact Mrs. Capua has had on her. The student remarked, "Mrs. Capua lets us work together and helps us to make friends. She helps us learn English and makes us better readers." Just last week, Mrs. Capua was observed collaborating with administration, staff, and related service providers to develop support for a newly enrolled student. She led with the student's strengths, interest, and what he can do. She's never deterred by the student challenges. Instead, she builds on strengths in a positive, supportive way to engage the student and partner with the family. In a subsequent student conversation, it was clear that Mrs. Capua's classroom is a place of joy and supportive of taking risks. Should probably put my glasses that are on my head on my face. Okay, there we go. The student shared that Mrs. Capua may have a hidden talent. The student said, "We liked when she did a cartwheel in the classroom at Christmas. It was a little crooked, but it was good. When we left for winter vacation, she gave us things to remember her and to remember our friends. It was a holiday card. She wrote nice things to all of us that made us cry." These are the typical examples of what Mrs. Capua does daily to ensure that her learning community is one where every student feels appreciated, feels confident enough to take risks, is ready to learn, and gets what they need to succeed. Carrie has been an invaluable support to students and staff alike. Ms. Capua's dedication is exceptional and leaves its mark. Her guidance has eased the worries of curious educators, reassured new mentees, inspired Excel staff and other colleagues. Staff members were very eager to share their thoughts about Carrie's guidance and support. One shared, "Carrie deserves this recognition. I always see such a positive attitude when she's working with her diverse students. She has a gentle and caring approach working with newcomers. Her classroom management style sets high expectations, and she pays attention to each student's needs. For example, she takes time to notice new haircuts and shoes. It's all the little things. She always finds and celebrates the good in all of the kids. She was meant for this." Another educator reflected on her own EL education and said these powerful words, "I wish I had a teacher as dedicated to newcomers as Carrie. Without knowing the language, she embraces them as her own. They're not just another one passing through the system. I appreciate it immensely because of teachers like her, hope becomes tangible." It's evidence that Carrie really cares about working together to create high-quality learning experiences for students. Carrie is one of the reasons that CGS is the best, why so many of our children look forward to coming to school, and why our teaching community is so robust. Carrie has served as the EL teacher leader, facilitated Summer Acceleration Academy groups, built rich partnerships with families, as evidenced at Family Literacy Night, has been an active member of the non-ODR team, and has supported many PD groups throughout her years at CGS. Her input is always child-centered and reflects her compassionate and positive perspective. Knowing Carrie is involved in reviewing EL procedures and protocols, making decisions, or contributing to an idea is reassuring to her admin team and colleagues, as her judgment is always based on what is best for our students. Any individual who has had the wonderful opportunity to learn from Mrs. Capua received an invaluable, memorable gift. Carrie Capua is an exceptional educator, colleague, and a parent cheerleader, as evidenced by that cartwheel. Would you like to do like a celebratory one? Are you sure? Okay. It's an honor to recognize Carrie Capua as our CGS Teacher of the Year.
Good evening. It has been so inspirational to hear about all the great teachers tonight that we have in Methuen and the amazing work that they are doing. I am so honored and proud to be here alongside them tonight. Thank you to everyone who is here tonight to help me celebrate this award. Thank you to the school committee and to Dr. Kwong for recognizing my teaching. Thank you to Katie Prietti, my supervising principal, for your kind and thoughtful words about my impact. I have been at the CGS as a grade 3 teacher, working with newcomers in the Excel classroom for the last 7 years. I teach content and language to level 1 students. In that time, I have been able to work with many diverse students that come from many different countries and cultures. My students have taught me so much and have so many assets that they bring to our classroom every day to share with me and their peers. Working with newcomer students has become a passion for me. People often ask how I do it when I don't speak their native language. Having consistent routines, high expectations, and building relationships with students all contribute to the success of our classroom. I feel that many students thrive in my classroom, not because I speak their language, but because I welcome them wholeheartedly and show kindness, a universal language for all. One of the aspects that I love about teaching is that every September is a fresh slate. New personalities to get to know, new cultures to embrace and learn from, and new learning profiles to work with. Over the last 7 years, my classes and classroom dynamics have varied greatly. Some years have been easier than others. Some classes have felt larger than I could handle. But every year in June, when I take time to reflect on all that we accomplished and the progress my students made, I feel proud and grateful to be a part of their journey. I am excited that this recognition shines a light on our English language learner population in Methuen, as well as our ELE department and staff. Our students work hard every day to acquire English, and we have many dedicated staff members that make that possible. I have been lucky to have many great mentors in the ELE department that I have learned from over the last 7 years. Jane Sigillo, Dana Gastick, Mary DeSimone, Jessica Hubert, and Kristen McDougall have taught me so much. Thank you to my admin team at the CGS, my 3rd grade team, and my ELE colleagues for the support, the guidance, and the friendship that you have given me for the last 7 years. I am grateful to be a part of the CGS community and for the privilege to teach in Methuen. Lastly, to my family, you are the most important people to me. Thank you for always supporting me and encouraging me. My husband Andrew and my father Keith, 2 of my biggest fans, are here tonight, and I look forward to celebrating with the rest of my family tomorrow. Thank you.
So, Madam Superintendent, would you please introduce the 18th Annual Israel Arbiter Holocaust Essay Contest second place winner?
Yes, I'd like to call up Paula Simone first, and in the sea of, oh, I see him. There's Nathan. Nathan, come on up. We have Nathan Pichardo to recognize for this award, and I'm sure Ms. Simone will read a little background about the essay. Yes?
I would be delighted.
Okay.
Good evening. It is my great pleasure to introduce you to Nathan Pichardo. Nathan is an 8th grade student at the Tenney Grammar School who has been a proud Tenney Tiger since 1st grade. He is the son of Mr. Jonathan Pichardo and Miss Lady Delgadillo, did I do it right? And is the brother of Tenney Class of 2020 alum Chanel Pichardo. Nathan is a constant fixture on the Tenney Honor Roll and has earned straight A's throughout his 8th grade year. Nathan is here tonight to read his essay entitled Holocaust. This essay earned him 2nd place honors in the middle school division of the annual Israel Arbiter Holocaust Essay Contest. For this, Nathan was honored on Sunday, May 5th, by the Jewish Community Relations Council of Boston at their annual Yom HaShoah Holocaust commemoration. Additionally, the JCRC has awarded Nathan an all-expenses-paid trip to Washington, D.C. for a private tour of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. Nathan?
Israel Arbeiter, a famous Holocaust survivor, once said, "Remembering is a way of thinking." People who survived the Holocaust teach us that even after going through something awful, they can still find good things in life. Even though the Holocaust was a big tragedy that affected many people, we can learn from it and make sure the world never forgets what happens. The Holocaust affected Israel Arbeiter and lots of other people. Israel Arbeiter survived the Holocaust, and now he spends his life teaching others about the terrible things that happened back then. He told his own story so that we'll always remember what happened during the Holocaust. Israel Arbeiter has helped the world remember how the Holocaust has affected the world and help us learn from it. Israel Arbeiter was one of the few people who survived the Holocaust. In the course of the Second World War, the Nazis murdered nearly 6 million European Jews. This genocide is called the Holocaust. They set up places called extermination camps where many lives were lost. Also, there were concentration camps where they gathered and killed lots of people. Israel and others like him were forced to work in Nazi camps for 5 years, going through terrible experiences losing loved ones. After the Holocaust, survivors like Israel and the world were deeply affected. Many survivors suffered because they lost family members and went through terrible things. After the war, people started teaching others about the Holocaust so that they would never forget what happened. It happened mainly during World War II and left a big mark on people like Israel, causing them a lot of pain, guilt, and lasting hurt. Israel went through a lot during the Holocaust. He was beaten, starved, and lost family members. Even though he eventually moved to the United States, got married, and started a family, the pain and memories of the Holocaust stayed with him. Survivors like him often struggle with things like PTSD and feeling guilty for surviving. The memories of what happened during the Holocaust are still very strong for people like Israel, and they remind everyone about how important it is to remember and heal. Israel Arbeiter has worked hard to make sure we don't forget about the Holocaust and how it changed the world. He wants us to understand what happened so we can learn from it. Survivor stories aren't just like books we can read for fun. They're real-life tales that teach us important lessons. These stories happen to real people, which makes them extra special. They can inspire us and make a difference in our lives. We shouldn't ignore them because they're important and valuable. The Holocaust was a really sad time when lots of bad things happened because people didn't like each other. We should never forget about it and always think about people who lived through it, like Israel Arbeiter. Thank you.
What?
She gives me her number.
Sure. Right after this? Okay.
You can go up front, it's okay.
I'm gonna.
I need a motion and a second to take a brief recess to take some photos, please.
So moved.
Moved by Member Willett, second by Member Serbilia. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you, the ayes carry. We'll brief recess for 5 minutes.
If we could just have all the teacher of the years come up, we just want to take some final photos with all the teachers before everybody.
gavel? I left it in the car.
What's the Billy Baru?
I have a gavel, too.
I bought one. Amazon brought it.
We're ready. We're ready. And thank you. We are back in session at the school committee business session of May 13th, 2024. Martha, will you please call a roll?
Here.
Mary Beth Donovan,
Present.
Lori Keegan. Present. Kristen Maxwell.
Present.
Daniel Shabelia.
Present.
Kenneth Willett.
Here.
Mayor Neil Perry.
Here. Thank you. Moving on, Superintendent, would you please start the discussion on the Cultural Council, Tenney Grammar School, Whimsical Courtyard Oasis?
Jen, I don't see her. I don't see her. I don't know.
Thank you.
She was here. I saw her. She was right there. Jen was,
Oh, she's in the bathroom. Oh. Brandy.
she went to the restroom. She'll be right back.
So what we just passed out is a really exciting opportunity, and when she comes back, I'll let her speak for a moment, because she is representing the Tenney, she's representing the Cultural Council here in Methuen, but came to me, actually, in the fall with a great idea, and to see if we would be open to the idea of having some, I don't know how to describe it, but there's some pictures here that might be better to look at. Some different kind of playground opportunities to make our playgrounds more colorful for the kids. There was a story done, I think, in North Andover, and Andover did it over the summer and had some photographs, and so it just sparked the idea in Jennifer, and we started talking and thought this would be such a fun and great way to have some of our high school students involved in planning and painting and designing these different colorful, four squares, hopscotches, things like that. We have the Tenney. The Timney doesn't have as much, but most of the schools have some blacktop area that these could be painted on and used during recess time. And so our hope was that we would start with the Tenney, see how it goes, and then roll into maybe doing another school next summer and another school. Is she behind me? Yes. Fabulous, because I started this.
Sorry.
No, don't say sorry. I started this conversation, so we'll let you carry it on.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I hope everybody was able to receive a copy of the proposal with some of the example photographs, sample photographs. So my name is Jennifer Loisel. I am a local artist and art advocate here in Methuen. And really very jazzed always about public art projects. Last summer, I'm sorry, I'm catching my breath.
It's okay. Take a deep breath. They have
Right.
some of it. They have the idea in their heads right now. I think I did okay.
So last summer, I was at a playground with my kids, and I was blown away by this incredible art at this playground. The courtyard just had a flag on it. The basketball court was painted. It was beautiful. It got my mind going, and I think I sent over some pictures to Brandy, and she said, oh, this is amazing, and let's kind of put together a proposal, which is what I have in front of you, and I'll just kind of read here. So as we gather here today, I'm really thrilled to present to you an exciting proposal aimed at transforming our school courtyards into vibrant, interactive spaces that foster creativity, inclusivity, and physical activity. Our primary objective is to revamp these areas into inviting oases that inspire students to embrace the outdoors and engage in imaginative play. After fruitful discussions with Superintendent Kwong, we have identified the first school to undergo this transformation makeover, and our goal is to complete the renovation over the summer through grants and sponsorships, ensuing minimal disruption to the academic year. And that school that we identified would be the Tenney Grammar School. The vision for this project is to turn our courtyards into hubs of play and learning, seamlessly integrating artful elements. Is that like artful? I want to elements. Oh, I lost my place next. I got so excited about the artful into the environment. The proposal that I'm presenting includes examples of what can be achieved through art, including interactive games, educational installations, playful challenges, and sensory experiences. I was really excited to talk with Dr. Kwong about just all the possibilities really that could come to doing a project like this, from obstacle courses to mazes to just colorful hopscotches. And for me, I have a son who is autistic and was nonverbal for a while. I'm very excited that his verbal skills have picked up, but there was a while where he was not, and I really loved those Doug Flutie nonverbal communication boards, and it's unfortunate that not every school can have a board, but every school could have a painted board, right? And I really love the idea of incorporating non-communication elements into these artful play spaces that we're talking about today. So I'm excited to share that Dr. Kwong, Mr. Hill, Cheryl Mancini have expressed their enthusiasm and full support for this initiative. Together we aim to involve high school and middle school students, providing them with the opportunity to contribute to a significant public art project. By engaging students in this process, we not only empower them, but also foster a sense of ownership and pride in their school environment. And I'm very excited to announce that we have already received a grant for this project through the Methuen Cultural Council if we are able to go through with that. So some of the funding has already been secured, and I think it's important to note that. So in conclusion, the transformation of our courtyards into vibrant, playful oases will undoubtedly enhance the learning experience of our students. This project aligns perfectly with the Methuen Public Schools' commitment to holistic education and the well-being of our students. With your support, we can turn this vision into reality and create spaces that inspire, engage, and enrich the lives of all who walk through our school gates. I'm starting to get emotional because it is just such an amazing proposal, and I really hope that y'all are on board for this. Thank you so much for your attention and consideration. Let's embark on this journey together and create something truly remarkable for our students. Thank you.
Questions? Member DeZoglio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any questions. I just have a statement. I love this idea. And you and I, Jennifer, have been knowing each other for a long time now. And everything you create just makes Methuen better. So you don't even need to ask. You have my full support no matter what.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Member Willett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If anybody's read recently Methuen Life and the outstanding mural, it was fantastic. So if we have that same energy and enthusiasm applied to our schools, the world will be a definite better place. So
I absolutely, I absolutely agree and plan to bring it.
Never lose that enthusiasm, please.
Never, never.
We need that in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Member Maxwell.
So all, you plan on doing all of the schools, and this would be over 2 to 3 years?
The goal was initially over 2 to 3 years, although realistically, it might really take a summer per school.
Okay. And then this is the budget per school, the $3,050?
That is the estimated budget per school, although the grant is written for $5,000.
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Kristen.
Member Shabilia.
So that means we have $2 extra thousand to make more stuff with?
Well, I also, you want to plan for contingencies. So anything that might pop up that I'm not necessarily planning for.
Did that already.
Yeah, I did, I know, but potentially, yes.
It's 3,000 per school though, right?
That's what I estimated here.
5,000 could potentially just roll into it.
Roll into another school. That was kind of the thought, yeah.
And it has to be used in 1 year?
The grants through the Methuen Cultural Council, when you get awarded them, they are for a year. Although if you do not use the grant funds in that year, you can request an extension of your project. And so we'd be able to potentially do that and request that extension to roll over into the following year.
Member Donovan.
Well, let me just add my thank yous and appreciation. It's so wonderful when a member of the community sees something that will benefit our students and steps up and takes the lead. So thank you for that. I especially appreciate that it's so inclusive on so many levels. And I look forward to hearing more about the dedicated mural space where students can contribute. And along those lines, you mentioned above and beyond the grant, you're hoping for sponsorships. When will we get more information on that?
Absolutely. And so as an artist who's done already a few community projects, it's been really wonderful to go to places like Home Depot, Sherwin-Williams, and just say, hey, we're doing this really wonderful project. Would you be willing to lend a sprayer, to clean the courtyard? Or would you be willing to discount or even donate some of the paint? And so that is what we were thinking in terms of sponsorship for the project. Although anybody in the community who loves the idea of this project and wants to get on board, absolutely more than welcome to contact me or Dr. Kwong, and we would be happy to discuss how we could involve you in the sponsorship of this project.
Anything else? Nope. Are we taking a vote on this, Martha? No, not now.
We just need a resounding nod.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we need. This isn't a vote necessarily, but we wanted to present it, make sure everybody was aware of what we were doing and that we want to move forward in the planning and how much work Jennifer's already put into this. We're ready to actually start gathering with students and getting timelines and getting the material. So we thought this would be the most opportune time to bring this forward to you. So I see nodding all in the right direction. Perfect.
Thank you all so much. Very, very much appreciated, and I really look forward to this project.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, is the Student Advisory Council here? Committee?
James is here, Mr. Mayor. James.
Come on up. Updates, please?
So starting with the spring play that we had on April 5th and 6th, Stage Door 22 put on a production of the musical Godspell. I was fortunate enough to attend it, and I have to say they did a fantastic job with the performance. They put on 3 shows, and all of them had a really great turnout. Another event that we recently did was the Teacher Appreciation Lunch, where the Methuen High School's Muslim Student Association, in collaboration with Methuen Public School Muslim families, hosted their annual Eid al-Fitr celebration with the Teacher Appreciation Lunch on April 22nd. They were able to provide many different types of food from countries all across the world, such as Morocco, Pakistan, Palestine, and Turkey. The lunch was a very thoughtful gesture from the Muslim community, and it allowed for teachers to learn about all different cultures through the lens of food, which I think is one of the best ways to learn about different cultures. Another great opportunity that we recently had was on Friday, May 3rd, the college fair, which was available for all juniors to attend. Juniors were able to go to Boston at the convention center for the NACAC college fair. It was a great experience for students who were previously undecided on where it comes, when it comes to where they would like to attend college, like myself. It was a good opportunity for people like me who didn't really know where they wanted to go and how to take the first step in deciding where to go to college. And I was able to do this, talk to many different colleges, and all the other students I talked to also really enjoyed this opportunity and were able to meet many different representatives and get some ideas of where to go. And they were also able to collect pamphlets from the colleges to take home, so then they could review them at a later time, either with their parents or guardians, to learn more about the college as well. We also recently had the band concert on May 11th, just this last Saturday, where the Ranger Band, they performed in the Nicholson Auditorium. It was the symphonic band, as well as the jazz band and DHI, or Dirty Hands Inc. I also heard that did very well from students and staff. They said they performed it really great on Saturday. Then we also have the JROTC, which they just had on Saturday as well. Cadets participated in a Raiders competition, which include events such as a one-rope bridge, land navigation, first aid, and obstacle courses. And they also have another event this Friday where the Ranger Battalion will hold its annual pass and review ceremony, during which many cadets will receive awards and our incoming battalion commander will get promoted. During class, they're also working on starting a new archery program as well. And of course, as we get closer to the end of the school year, we're getting close to sending off the seniors this week, I believe. This week will contain a lot of nice special days for the seniors. Many of the events that are coming up are the senior prom on May 23rd, a zip lining trip to Boundless Adventures on the 28th, a trip to Six Flags on the 31st, and then before the final goodbyes at graduation, there will be a senior sunset on June 3rd. And then lastly, I'm here to talk about the international flags that will be set up soon. I believe this was talked about at one of the last meetings. We now have all the flags fresh. They were pressed in Miss SBF's classroom, and they're ready to set up around the school. And we're hoping to set those up this summer in the corridor on the first floor, so then all students can easily see them.
Thank you. Good job. Okay, moving on. That takes us to public participation, and we have several people signed up. Dan Stanley. Just let me remind you, start by saying your name, your address, and then.
Thank you. My name is Dan Stanley, 708 Lowell Street in Methuen. Ladies and gentlemen of the Methuen School Committee, I thank you for this opportunity to share my concerns regarding our school's literacy rate as it relates to our media centers. As I said, my name is Dan Stanley. My son is currently a 4.0 student at UMass Lowell after graduating from Methuen High School and the Marsh Grammar School before that. I'm the pastor of Riverside Assembly of God here in Methuen, and before that I have served as a private school principal, an assistant professor of literature, and director of teacher training for my denomination. But perhaps most relevant is that it has been my honor to serve as a volunteer at the Marsh Grammar School Media Center for the past 13 years, with the exception of our 2 pandemic years. About 4.5 years ago, I addressed the school committee to advocate for the promotion of our school libraries. 4 months after that, the pandemic hit. In-person learning closed down, and even when classrooms were opened, our libraries were turned into much-needed classroom space. During the previous school year, I worked with Principal Gordon to start a mobile book exchange at the Marsh, visiting classrooms with a cart full of books for kids to choose from. That year, I had 5 classrooms participate. We've started again this year, and I have 17 classrooms participating. Almost 300 students from the Marsh are now participating with the bi-weekly book train that chugs into their classroom to bring them a variety of books to choose from. I love bringing books to those 300 wonderful students, but I believe there are close to 7,000 students in Methuen. I advocate for our libraries because I know the importance of library skills and the power of stories in the development of young minds. A study by Scholastic showed that school libraries play an integral role in supporting student learning, and that reducing library staff reduces student achievement in English language arts, writing standards, graduation rates, standardized test scores, and even math scores are all stronger for students who attended schools with strong library programs. Researchers have often found that the benefits associated with good library programs are strongest for the most vulnerable and at-risk learners, including students of color, low-income students, and students with disabilities. Libraries also provide a benefit which classroom reading cannot. Author and former librarian Megan Blakemore told me that libraries are one place where students are encouraged to read self-selected books. This freedom of choice is vital to a student's ability to develop as a reader. Dr. Stephen Krashen of the School of Education at USC wrote that free voluntary reading is a high predictor of developing high levels of literacy. If you want to increase our Methuen students' literacy rate, give them access to lots of literature. When I come into a classroom with my book cart, the kids cheer and shout, "Oh, Mr. Stanley's here, Mr. Stanley's here." But it's not about me, because when I leave the classroom, their heads are buried in the books that they've chosen and they barely notice my departure. This small percentage of our Methuen students that I work with are excited about their books. They can't wait to find something interesting to read. Can we please feed that desire and provide the funding necessary for a well-staffed, well-equipped library for each of our schools? Our school libraries are so important to our students. Books change lives. They shape our worldview by offering different perspectives than our own. I have a little freckle-faced Irish girl in one of the kindergarten class who takes out books like My First Kwanzaa. Books put us vicariously into the shoes of another and take us for a walk. Good school libraries will increase our literacy rates, but they'll also help us to make better human beings. I understand that budgets and policies are a complicated thing. I don't pretend to understand them all, but I ask that as you make budgets and form policies, please find ways for students to be encouraged to have access to the libraries in our schools. 95% of our students have now been without a library for 4 years. Some of the most precious formative years have been lost. Intentional thought must be given to how we can reverse this trend. In my church, our children are our most important responsibility, and I believe the same is true for any community, including this wonderful city. I love our city. I love our students. I know you do as well. Please help them gain the benefit that a library can give them. I thank you for your time.
Heather Jones.
Hi, my name is Heather Jones. I am a teacher at the CGS. I have been asked to read this on behalf of Kara Blatt, who could not attend due to an unexpected event. She is a veteran special education teacher at the CGS. From 2009 and subsequent years, our district has grappled with the consequence of the city underfunding our schools. Then in recent years, with only 1 to 5% increase in funding, The direct repercussions of this negligence are dire, stretching beyond mere budgetary concerns to impact the quality of education we can offer and our ability to retain qualified staff in essential programs. It has been repeatedly stated that the City of Methuen allocated 52% of its budget to the schools. In fiscal year 2021, this was 3% more than the state's requirement. In FY 2022, it was a 5% increase. In FY 2023, it was 3%, and in fiscal year 2024, it was 1%. Over the past decade, other districts in our area have been allocating significantly more funds to their schools, an average of 12 to 46% over the state requirement. For example, a district comparable to ours based on the DESE site is the City of Haverhill. Their city allocates 65% of its budgets to schools. In fiscal year 2021, that was 12% more than the state's requirement. In FY 2022, it was 14% above. In 23, it was 12%, and in fiscal year 2024, it was still 4% more than the required amount and 3% higher than that of Methuen. In FY 22, Methuen was ranked 290 near the bottom out of 317 school districts in Massachusetts, spending just 3% above the bare minimum of what the state recommends they should spend on schools. This ranking shows the urgent need for increased budget allocation. This discrepancy is not just a matter of statistics. It reflects our city's misplaced priorities. 91% of Massachusetts districts allocated a higher percentage than Methuen in fiscal year 2022. This data and other information was available on city websites, the Department of Education, and the state's Department of Revenue that cities reported to them. As you know from the proposal for fiscal year 25 school budget, our special education student population has steadily increased. This year's school budget highlights the number increase over the past decade, students with disabilities rising by 14.9%, and English language learners rising by 11.6%. These numbers highlight the growing need for specialized services and qualified staff to support these students effectively. In Carol Blatt's words, "In my 15 years within this district, I've witnessed firsthand the erosion of support systems, not from my administrators, but from the lack of funding the city has been willing to provide. I have witnessed significant changes in my role, from managing a caseload of an average of 10 students with adequate support to overseeing a much larger group of 22 students with more diverse needs. I am covering 2 programs simultaneously due to the exodus of licensed and highly skilled staff leaving for neighboring districts offering better working conditions and pay. This affects the quality of education and contributes to teacher burnout and turnover, leaving our most vulnerable students without the seasoned guidance they desperately need. For 12 years, I was fortunate to work with the core of a very talented team. That has now changed due to programs being eliminated. While Dr. Kwong and Ms. Bozek and other administrators have worked tirelessly to support us and use agencies to fill critical positions, providing staff does not mean they have proper training. Temporary workers often lack experience using incidental teaching strategies in a public school setting or experience working with social, emotional, behavioral challenges at various grade levels, and knowing when a student needs modifications or accommodations. More importantly, they are not in a position to demonstrate a long-term commitment to our district. Furthermore, the city's priorities, as evidenced by its allocation of funds to road projects and other initiatives, do not align with the urgent needs of our schools. The state allocated another $1 million for infrastructure on top of what they promised the city. The city's now prepared to add $4 million a year to roads for the next 4 years, using the city's revenue. the city cannot claim a lack of resources. We have heard your comments about free cash. The free cash reserves have significantly increased over the past 3 years to over 27%. However, we do not understand that the state recommends 3 to 5% increase in free cash. This suggests that other departments may be over budget or underestimating revenue and tax projections. It's perplexing that such surplus funds have not been redirected to address the crisis in education. Why isn't anyone questioning why in the past 2 years, 9% each year was put into this fund? Since January, the mayor has publicly stated that the city's future is bright with revenue coming in. To quote Mayor Perry, "We have seen an economic turnaround in Methuen unseen in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The future has tremendous promise." The cherry sheet was released on the day that the mayor boasted about the city's future. This document ensures that local budgets reflect realistic estimates of the amount of revenue a municipality and regional school district will actually receive from the state during the upcoming year, as well as the amounts that will be assessed upon local governments to pay for a variety of state or sub-state programs in which they participate. And then in February, the future was still bright in his State of the City address. How could the city be in peril in March and April? We have listened to you at your events and read the mayor's comments in the news several times. Based on your comments and our research, there is money to fund our schools, retain veteran staff, and attract new teachers. I implore the school committee to take decisive action and advocate for increased funding for our district. The future of our city hinges on the quality of education we provide our students, and it's time we prioritize funding for our schools. As the city's largest department, we will be the largest percentage of the budget. The school system deserves more. It requires tangible support and investment to thrive. It is abundantly clear you are missing the mark in funding our schools. Let us seize this moment to enact real change and ensure that every student in our district receives the education and support they deserve. The time for action is now. I'll end with a quote from Mayor Perry in the Lawrence Eagle Tribune from January 24th of this year. "My goal is to make Methuen a beacon for people seeking opportunities, a place where dreams can become reality and hard workers rewarded. When it comes to Methuen's brightest days, you've seen nothing yet." Thank you.
Jackie McLaughlin?
Hi, my name is Jackie McLaughlin, teacher at the Tenney. At the last meeting, I shared about the importance of small class sizes to maintain the wonderful progress that we have been able to make with regards to reading achievement. I touched on the intense dysregulation of students who get no support, and some of you on this committee have questioned Dr. Kwan's request for more behavioral support staff in the schools. And I will tell you, the behavioral interruptions to learning are out of control. I asked a colleague to add up the Tier 1 behavior referrals she has to put in on just one of her students, and this is what was recorded. 15 incidents of work refusal and/or defiance, 10 verbal interruptions to her lessons, 12 incidents of unsafe behavior, 13 incidents of distracting peers and off-task behavior. This is in one day, and it happens every day. This student receives no behavioral or academic support throughout the day. When admin or guidance are called to help, it usually takes 15 minutes for them to arrive. This teacher is expected to deal with all of these behaviors and continue to teach the other 17 students sitting in front of her. When guidance has to stay and attempt to get him on task or safe, Other student services are not happening, which means IEPs are out of compliance. It's not okay. There was a recent national news story that stated 73% of school staff have been physically assaulted by students, not just in high school, but elementary as well. This is not the time to underfund the schools and increase class sizes. As the budget stands right now, the Tenney is losing a first grade classroom, which will increase our current class size average from 18 up to approximately 20 next year, and that's before the historical influx of registrations we get over the summer. So we are looking at a potential average of 22 first graders without any PAs. Member DeZoglio spoke at the last meeting about how adding even 1 or 2 students to a roster can negatively change the dynamic of a classroom culture. Please don't let this happen. Please do the right thing and keep our schools fully staffed to support our students and teachers. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to participate? Okay, seeing none, at this time, we'll close public participation portion of the meeting. If you can't make the meeting in person for public participation, you can always send an email to Martha Sorois at masorois@methuen.k12.ma.us before 3 p.m. on the day of the school committee meeting. And with that, we'll close public participation. I'll move on to the approval of the minutes. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 8th, 2024?
So moved.
Moved by member Zoglio.
Second.
Seconded by member Shabilia. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
For the record, Martha, I vote present because I wasn't there. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 24th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by member Shabilia, seconded by the vice chair. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ayes carry unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to the staff reports. Superintendent and assistant superintendent updates. There are none this week. Does the committee have any questions about the assistant superintendent of student services report? Member Shabilia.
Looking at the residency check, it says in process 37. How are those 37 identified? Are they through regular scans? I know we're doing all the 8th grade students.
So that's separate.
Okay.
So that first chart right there is like the ongoing for the year residency checks. So those come in through anonymous reports, staff reports based on information they've received, things like that. So that is separate from the grade level residency checks.
And you say, here that says that 31 have withdrawn
For this school year.
this school year.
Yep.
And I know the question's gonna come up because it came to me earlier in the week, that there's a net savings associated with that, right? Kinda, maybe?
Yeah. It's hard to, I mean, it is a kind of maybe because the students have been added to our October 1, so they count for our enrollment for next school year's foundation budget. So if they were here on October 1 and withdrew after the October 1st, they've already counted towards our enrollment for the next year's budget. So that's one, right, so it does count for future budgets. So we don't lose money when they leave, until the next October 1 enrollment, if that makes sense.
All right.
That's the key date for us, is that October 1 enrollment. Our entire next fiscal year's budget is based on the absolute number of kids we have in our district and what their subgroup categories are at that moment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One other question. Non-residents approved to stay for the current year. I know we've had this conversation. I know the answer, but I got the question twice.
Sure.
Over the weekend. So I just want to have someone address it so it can be out there.
I can certainly address that. Non-resident students who are allowed to stay typically are 8th graders or seniors who we don't expect to go to another school and not graduate with their peers, especially when they've it's not doing us any financial change at that point, and we're looking at the student. I always look at the individual student situation, and the parents have to fill out, it's a very structured process, that they have to come to me and ask me to stay, and we go through a long process to decide that. Sometimes it is a stay to graduate, and sometimes it's not.
And what does it mean when a case is referred to student services?
So that typically could mean that there may be other circumstances such as homelessness that we find out, so it gets referred to my department so that I can work with the families around that.
Thank you.
Great questions.
Any other questions? Member Willett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate Gina doing a global look back over the last roughly 5-6 years. And we're close to 400 students that have been removed because of the policy. So just imagine the impact of 400 students to class sizes if they were still present. And that also will impact long-term the local taxpayers, because there's a commitment from the state in addition to the local taxpayers. So removing close to 400 students, the policy which I drafted is working, and we're gonna look to strengthen it. So I appreciate all the information, the data that was provided to us. Thank you.
And I will state, because I think Member Shabilia brought it up, I do have on the next agenda for the next week's meeting, the residency policy to review. I know you had brought it up tonight, but we'll review the policy to update that at the 22nd meeting.
And
Does that
I
make
think
sense?
also, Mr. Chairman, that's the impetus for the policy is that every May, we review, and that's a vehicle within the policy, we review additions, subtractions, what's working, what's not working.
Yep.
And I think it's good for the colleagues as a committee as a whole to review those changes, and I am in favor of those changes. I also want to commend anybody who was working with the prior committee of certain ideas that were presented, and I think those ideas are going to be incorporated as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Does the committee have any questions about the Director of Human Resources report? Hearing and seeing none, I'll move on. Does the committee have any questions about the facilities report?
Just one.
Member Shabilia?
Actually, two questions. How much of some of the, I don't know, it's general maintenance stuff here is performed by either school staff or DPW? So for example, there was the lighting balusters repairs were completed. I know we have electricians on staff in the city. Are we sending that out, or is it being completed in-house?
If we have the staff to do it, we do it. So like an electrical ballast, we purchase the ballasts and we have our maintenance staff do it. There are some things we don't have staff, plumbing,
Yeah.
et cetera, or it might be a huge HVAC job where our one HVAC guy can't swing it. But for the most part, any chance we can, we use the skilled people we have on board. Yeah, no, it'll be DPW, however, and there have been times we've reached out to them to help us with trees and stuff like that. We fill potholes.
I did get a call since the last meeting about smoke detectors in the bathrooms. I don't know if that would fall under facilities. There was a complaint for one of our schools that there's a lot of smoking going on in a bathroom. It was coming from the Timony. They said there were no smoke detectors. I said I would bring it up. And I don't know if that falls under this category, but if we could put some up. Thank you.
Member Denneman?
I just have two quick questions. One, it's not on here, but, I think about a month ago, we had the presentation about energy savings for the marsh and and Branch Street. And the people who presented said they might be able to do some of the work to not disrupt learning, like at the marsh during April vacation. Did that happen?
That has not, we're going to city council with that next meeting.
Okay.
That'll be done over the summer. I will also tell you, with the on-bill that we were planning, increased our budget a little bit more than I was comfortable with, so we did scale it back to just the Marsh Lower School, and then we'll do the branch part of it at a future date when there's more money in the budget.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is, I see at the Tenny, there's potential work for more ADA parking in front of the main entrance. What's that going to look like? What's the change? How will it be different? Do you know, Mr. Goslin?
I have not seen that drawing yet. I know we've been going back and forth about where the safe walkways should be. I do know that there are a couple varying opinions, so I'm not sure it's been nailed down permanently yet. So, but we are addressing the ADA. We want to make sure we're ADA compliant. We just want to make sure we're also safe.
Member Willett?
I want to clarify for people who don't know, so that the section she's talking about is not the parking lot we just renovated. It's actually it's parallel to Pleasant Street. There's a small main entrance there. Used to be the main entrance, not the main entrance anymore, but it's a small entrance. It's typically where basketball and things go in to get closest entrance to the gym. That's the side that we're talking about. That was not part of the fully renovated bus loop and upper school parking lot, just so you can visualize where we're talking about. That helps everybody, which I know Member Keegan, you brought to my attention this weekend as well.
Member Willett, you good? Okay. Anything else? Okay, moving on to, does the committee have any questions about the out-of-school suspensions and other disciplinary actions report?
So if I
Vice
may,
Chair.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
can I just for 2 seconds? So you have the same report, it's flipped, but on the one side, you have the same report that you've had for the past couple of months. And so Dr. Golubsky and Matt Sarkra, our data manager, were trying to collapse a little bit, but spread out. I know that sounds really weird, but just trying to parse out what those buckets would be to give you, I think, what you were asking for, some additional information on those highest trending reasons. And these are only for the out of school. What are we suspending kids out of school? And you know, whatever questions you have, we'll try to answer those tonight. Dr. Golubsky will probably take some of those because she spent the most time looking at this data. But I can assure you, and I hope that you understand by looking at these infractions, we are not suspending students out of school for, we're not taking it lightheartedly, I guess is what I want to assure you at this point.
Madam Vice Chair.
It would be helpful with the percentage of incidences to see the actual number of incidences next to it, because it is shocking to me that we have criminal weapons infractions at 2 of our elementary schools. And so I would like to know how many students that actually involves, because, I mean, it doesn't shock me at the high school, but at the elementary schools it does. And so I would like to know how many students we're talking about are actual, what those percentages mean with physical numbers of kids.
Sure.
Member Donovan?
And Dr. Kwong, the vaping infractions, you know, at the high school and at one of the grammar schools. Remind me, were there discussions a few years ago about bringing vape detectors into the buildings?
Mm-hmm.
And did anything, I forget, I just don't remember what happened.
So yes, some of those have been outdated, and sometimes the kids work around the detectors that we have.
So we did have them?
Not in all the schools, no,
Okay.
and we certainly didn't have them at the grammar school.
Okay, yeah, and okay.
I mean, they need serious updating. So I actually have Ms. Lopez looking at some new options for vape detections in the bathrooms. And I apologize, Member Shabilia, that's why I paused when you asked me about smoking in the bathrooms. It's rampant. I've already said that here. Vaping is happening. Kids are coming to school with vapes on their person, not in their bags. They're getting it in their homes. They're getting it from friends. They're getting it everywhere. This is not a Methuen thing. This is such a challenge in every school district across this country. And so we have to decide, and this is what our team talks about a lot, how much we're chasing it, right? We're chasing it. And so it's a challenge that I'm not sure anybody has the perfect answer to. My colleagues have spent thousands of dollars on new vape sensors, and it's not curbing the problem, right? It's not changing the behavior of the students, and they're finding new places to vape, and they won't go in the bathroom set, and they go somewhere else to vape, and they vape around the vape sensor. It's amazing how quickly they learn things. So we're just trying to figure out how to deter. We teach it in health class. It's going to be really remarkable to see, just like what happened with smoking cigarettes. We didn't know, right, until decades later what the effect was on our health, right? And that campaign has taken decades to make a change in behavior for students not to go and buy cigarettes at this, right? So that we're in deep right now with vaping. And the hardest part with vaping is you're talking about not just nicotine, it's THC and nicotine, and this is now left up to our staff to decide if a child is it a nicotine vape, an addiction? Are they altered because it's THC? I mean, my administrators are becoming really astute at trying to figure out what those different cartridges are and what's in it, but it's amazing. It is a challenge. It's a huge challenge, and I, just like social media, would implore any parent listening tonight to this to really, really, talk to your kids about vaping, because it's too easy to get for our kids at the malls and everywhere else, from each other, from their homes. It's vaping. We put vaping on this. It's actually not labeled quite like this in Infinite Campus, but most of our infractions that are labeled tobacco are really vaping in our schools. And so we're grappling with how to change that behavior and keep it out of our schools. It is probably one of the most challenging things that we're dealing with. Sorry, that was like Debbie Downer a little bit, but it's just such a challenge, and it hasn't gotten any better, right? With educating and having actual health curriculum, have this be a part of it. The education isn't changing the behavior, so we're struggling with it.
Member Maxwell.
So I would just like to say that on Member Keegan's point, that I'd like to see the numbers on the percentages, because I feel like a lot of these numbers are skewed, especially with when we talk about behavioral concerns in the schools. I feel like suspensions and disciplinary actions play into that, and I really I guess you just don't know how many students are actually affected by any of this. And also, I feel like a lot of kids aren't being suspended for things that need to be suspendable offenses. So I think we need to kind of relook at how we're reporting incidents too, because these numbers they just don't seem real. They don't seem real. That's all. I'd like to see more of the numbers of the actual students.
The reason why Mr. Serqua, who's our data administrator, decided not to put the actual numbers was because the actual number of total suspensions is on the other side, and he thought it might look a little clumsy on the report, so that automatically generates from Infinite Campus. So for instance, the 3.7% in the first row for CGS would be 3.7% of the 109 incidents. So we can certainly put that number on there to make it easier for you to read, but I don't want you to get the impression that we were trying to hide information from you. It's all there. The other thing that sometimes can be a little misleading is that when you're looking at the fighting percentages there, that does not represent each event. It represents the students participating in the event. So if there were to be an altercation where 2 students were involved, that would be counted twice in this percentage, because two students would have received the suspension, but it would be one event.
I thought that fighting was only called fighting if 2 people engaged.
Right.
So wouldn't that be one offense?
One event, 2 people. So 2 people would have been suspended, hypothetically, which would have gone into that percentage for 2 out-of-school suspensions, but 1 event occurred.
So hypothetically, with the CGS, let's say fighting and attacking is 53.77%. So out of
their 109 incidents,
53.
that resulted in 62 unique students over the course of a year receiving suspensions. 53.7% of those students would have been suspended for an incident related to fighting. So this is, I think Dr. Kwong brought up last time that we would take a stab at the report as a. Oh. Well, my mind wasn't going there, Mr. Shabilia. But if there's certainly a way we can present it more clearly, we're happy to do so. But I think there's numerous offenses, and by bundling them in these groupings as we've done, we hope to find or communicate to you where most of the infractions are coming. In the other policy handbook violations category, there's a slew of things that could go into that in terms of attendance violations or theft or misuse of technology provided by the schools. But in most cases, that was a relatively small percentage. So to list them all out would probably have been more confusing than helpful.
Go ahead, Member Schmidt.
So when I requested this at the last regular meeting, the purpose, at least in my mind, was knowing that we have to go through the student manuals or the handbooks over the next coming, month or 2. I think that these numbers give us some insight as to what we need to be on the lookout for and what we need to address. And it's helpful to have that full picture going into that exercise. The outstanding question for me is, when we say number of unique students, so using CGS because they're at the top of the list, there were 62 unique students for out-of-school suspension. How many of those students have multiple suspensions? And I guess, how do we handle that? Do we just keep suspending kids who are, I guess, chronic fighting / attacking or vaping, which now that Dr. Kwong says it out loud, I didn't even think to ask when the people came to me and complained about smoking if it was cigarettes or vaping, because the thought never crossed my mind. So, I mean, I guess that's the repeat offenders for the out-of-school suspensions, I guess, is something that is lingering on my mind that I think we need to address from a policy perspective. So. No question. It was just my statement, and I think that it will help us, again, help us address it come handbook review time.
Member DeZoglio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, and Dr. Korn, you could tell me if, correct me. So a lot of the difficulties is the laws of the state when it comes to suspensions. From my knowledge, that a student is only is allowed 10 days worth of suspensions, if I was told correctly, and after that they have to have a court date. So, or no? Is
No.
that- no.
No.
Or okay.
So we have to be really careful in talking about the laws, because there are different sections that, and I would, if we're gonna have this conversation about the handbook, everybody should be really familiar with it. There's 37H, 37H and a half, 37H and 3/4. There are very different laws that go with each of those, different procedures that go with each of those laws, discipline laws. And every single one of those also has a non-IEP pathway and an IEP 504 pathway. So if a student has 37H is our most serious, could be long-term suspension or expulsions. There's 4 reasons a student could be long-term suspended or expelled under 37H. That pathway, if the student has an IEP, there's process you have to put in place. It doesn't mean that it cannot happen. There are procedures in place to determine whether or not behaviors are part of the student's discipline, part of the student's disability or not. If it is, then we are not allowed to suspend them by law, depending on the 37H, 37H and a half, 37H and 3/4. So this is not like a 5-minute conversation. It is super complicated and complex. It's all laid out in the handbook that way. But there are things that make everything we do around discipline challenging. And so we get every kid with a behavior problem should be removed from the classroom, which is just never gonna happen, right? Removed maybe temporarily, removed with some interventions which we're trying to support this, with what we've recommended this year for some budget support, from position support. We're trying different things, right? We know that I don't want any kids in the classroom that are disrupting learning, except I don't have enough people to help intervene, right, with what that student might need. And, 20 years ago, this was a very different conversation. Student misbehaved, they were suspended out of school, the behavior didn't happen, everybody saw what happened to the student. It was a deterrent. And right now, we're not finding that these consequences are necessarily deterrents for many, not all. And I'm not, there's reasons that we have consequences, right? We can't tolerate these things. And so, we also have to make sure that we're looking at each individual case is different. I can't tell you that each kid that gets into a fight, that has a vape, that is in these categories is treated the same exact way. Because every principal is gonna determine that individual situation. How did it happen? When did it happen? Why did it happen? Right? Something might be 3 days, something might be a day. We're talking about little humans, so it's really hard to just put these into a black and white category. And when I say complex, there is so much that goes into the discipline decisions, and it's exhausting, and it's every day. And I have conversations with each and every principal every day when we have complex situations that may result in disciplinary action. So I know that was a long answer. I just don't want anything, right, there's no black and white when it's a 10 days is a really important number for a lot of different things, but it's not they can only be suspended for 10 days and then they definitely don't go to court. That's not us, right? There's no like court involved, it's the school decision. There are some things that are police related. There are some things that are court related. I mean, there's so much that goes into these kids and situations. We were challenged with this because it is so to give you guys a number and try to put this in a black and white situation is not, it's not easy, and it's not gonna present that way to all of you.
So, to follow,
challenging.
Just to follow up with that, that's what I mean. That's what I was trying to say when I was hearing all the other members talking about the policies and numbers and all that.
Yeah.
That was just, and again, all districts are different too. From my district and your district, our district, That's why I'm like, well, if we're going through the policies, well, that's a lot to go through. So I feel like we need to be specific of what we're looking for, so we could tell Dr. Kwong exactly where to point to us. But the second, my second statement was combating all this, and I know we're doing it in health curriculum, but I remember growing up, and I don't know if there's any other teachers that go back 20 years when I was little, going through the school district. We actually had parents come in, and they would teach us, like, from tobacco use, drug use, domestic violence, all that. I remember Mrs. Marino and Mrs. Fitzgerald would come into our classroom, and it was awesome because it was our friends' parents doing it to it. They would have these big cards with scenarios and ask us, how would we go about this? How would we talk to an adult? And it was, I would just remember it being more impactful, knowing that it was my friend's mom doing it. And I know it's different time where moms and parents are always working, but I was just seeing what ended up happening with that. Yeah, I don't know. I just remember it and how impactful it was to me, and I don't know if we can bring that back, because they could hear it from a teacher, but if you're hearing it from someone's mom that you're close with, and they explain it, and they're in the classroom with you, I just felt growing up it was more impactful than being in health class. So it's something to look into, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah. Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair.
I just have a couple of things. One, I'm just going to state my concern about putting smoke detectors in the bathrooms, because we would have fire alarms going off all day long, and no kids would be in the classroom over it. So I just want to caution that idea, because we need to, like you said, you need to figure it out, but
Yeah.
I would just caution that,
It would be,
especially-
we wouldn't, yeah, it would be the sensors.
Okay.
You're right, we wouldn't, because the sensors actually are, much, they detect a lot of different things.
Okay.
So I wouldn't necessarily, it wouldn't just be a smoke detector, but like a
Okay.
sensor,
All right, and
environmental sensor.
My second thing is, originally when I had asked for all the suspension information, it was because I was concerned that we weren't following the laws about suspensions. And that, other than, like you said, the 37H, the 4 reasons, we suspend right away. But the law's pretty clear that for anything else, we have to do something else before we suspend. And we don't have that support in the schools, in the elementary schools, to be able to do that. And so I think it's very important that we're adding the behavior support into the schools because of that. And we need to find a way to make sure that we are following the laws before we have OCR complaints against us, because we need to find alternative ways other than suspensions.
Yep.
And so I see the drug and the weapons charges, those, sure, absolutely, those should be suspensions. But for a lot of the other things, by law, they shouldn't be suspensions before we're doing other things. And so I want to know what we're doing other than suspensions or before the suspensions for these incidences. And I know they're serious, but I feel like it's all the elementary schools have is to suspend. And we need to change that so that we are in compliance with the laws.
Yeah, thank you. So a couple of things from what you just said, and I appreciate that, is, again, we just have to be really careful about how we're speaking publicly about the 4 laws. So I would, again, encourage all of us to reread the handbook, the 37H, 37H and a half, 37 and 3/4, and the new laws that attach to 37H and 3/4. It's like got another percentage to it, right? That added a layer of what Member Keegan is saying. It's not that we can't suspend, because there are events that if they are egregious enough and disrupt the school environment, we can suspend. Keeping the kids in school is more disruptive sometimes than it is pulling them out of school. And we see that and we live that every day as well. So there's a process that we go to. Our attorneys have written all of our letters. We have legal counsel on call all the time when we need it. And so we're very careful in making sure that We're not, so I don't know how else I'm being as transparent as I possibly can, because I, again, have these conversations every day with the principals and know how decisions are made. And I'm intimately involved in many of those decisions when it's a long-term suspension or expulsion, because I'm the appeal. I am the appeal by law, right? So of course, there's gonna be legal counsel involved. So it is not something we take lightly. We spend a lot of our time doing it. I wish I was in classrooms more than having these conversations, but this is a big part of our job right now, right? And it can be exhausting and time-consuming, because we do a lot of this conversation, right? And so my conversation with a lot of principals is, hey, this situation happened while, because of the kids and because of the situation, it's not impacting the school day. What do you think about this? And we talk through it. Because that situation that might have caused complete chaos at one school in a classroom, and the only way to remove that chaos is to remove the students, that might not be the case in another school or classroom or situation when the same thing happened. Am I making any sense? Right, so it really is a situation by situation, and taking everything, like just thinking, pausing. We always pause, right? We talk about this a lot on our leadership team. We have to pause before we act, right? Because we have to think through. Once we start the process, now we're in it. You kind of can't take things back. Once you suspend, you can't suspend again if you find something else, right? So we pause and we really think through those things when we have these serious situations happen. And I do with all 5 of the principals. I think it's one of the things that we're probably the most thoughtful about. Yes, there are definitely things that we'd have to do, detentions or remediation with the student, right, or whatever it might be first, and we do those. But there are definitely situations that happen in school that are so disruptive, we remove the students, and we are able to do that. The law also allows us to do that, so we remove the distraction, right? So we do talk through those things a lot. Sure.
Member Willett?
Just a quick question. We have the power currently to confiscate the vaping devices and the cartridges. So that's permanently taken away from the student, that's not returned at the end of the day?
No.
Okay, and then in terms of the code compliance, I know they have enforcement teams that go into the local vendors and do violations and fine assessments. Are we detecting, and this is something maybe for the follow-up for the mayor and our local Department of Public Health, I know the State Department of Public Health, they have enforcement teams that go out, and it was concentrated on tobacco and underage purchasing of tobacco, and assessment of major fines to vendors, including maybe possibly losing their licenses. I'm not sure if there's a disconnect between the tobacco products, strictly with the nicotine delivery systems, and the vaping. And that's something that maybe we could look at as a school committee to find out if the state needs to catch up in terms of enforcement mechanism. And that's something too, like, I saw the posters, and I know, I think it's called maybe popcorn lung. You inhale the vape, it's very destructive to your lungs. It potentially could be worse than, tobacco consumption, because it might just destroy your lungs completely. And it's an untested science right now, and then the kids are the guinea pigs. So like maybe something that between maybe the next meeting or so, or the next month's meeting, maybe just gather some intelligence on this for the committee as to, again, the code compliance. Do we have people from Department of Public Health that's going out?
We do.
Is there a discrepancy between Massachusetts and New Hampshire? Because if they're going to the malls in New Hampshire and then they're coming back into Massachusetts, maybe an educational program and have the posters in the schools. I mean, the high school might be something that's a different audience, but maybe the grammar schools, and they see the deleterious nature of vaping, because right now it's a fad, it's acceptable, it's not cigarettes, so it's a different delivery system. So just, I think it's very productive what we're doing as a committee, because we're asking questions, and we're gonna look for answers, and I think like Member Shabilia indicated and others, is that we'll review as part of the policy when we review the handbook. But my personal thing, like, I think there's a disconnect right now. I think the kids, if you polled them, it's a harmless delivery device, and it's not a harmless delivery device. And that's something that I think education, enforcement, code compliance, maybe strengthening the penalties in the handbook, all those factors have to be included. So that's my food for thought. Thank you.
Seeing nothing else, okay. We'll move on to other business, all business and other pending matters. Superintendent, will you please start the discussion on the FY25 school budget?
So I also want to be cognizant of time, Martha, if you want to vote to go past 9 o'clock.
I thought we didn't have to vote till go past 9:30. 9:30.
Changed the policy though last week. We changed the policy to, at 9 o'clock to vote to go past, and then the meeting has to stop at 10, and we'll put the next agenda items on the, right?
Okay,
Am
I
I-
thought it was 9:30, but I'll
right?
take a motion to extend.
I just want to make sure we don't lose sight of that.
Yeah,
So moved.
moved by Vice Chair. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Member Shabilia. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you, the ayes carry. We have approval to move past 9 o'clock.
Thank you. Okay, so in your packet, so we were met with the task last time. We were still off by about just under $700,000 from the city's final number to what we were presenting. So our team, what you have in front of you is how we got to the number that the city has given us. I will say, we did not have any, actually. We did a retirement incentive for Unit A and B, and we did not have anybody take us up on that. So that was not part of what you see here, so we don't feel that's going to be impactful to the budget. So what we did, it's bulleted, but it's also in the chart. So I color-coded it. I hope it came out okay. It's hard. I was trying to find colors that contrast each other. The pink and the red were tough. Basically, what we ended up doing, we had a few more resignations. We actually used some, we sat with Mr. Kafori for the before and after school programs about reallocating funds for custodial services through his program. So you'll see that in the second bullet. So again, we were able to, with the final, looking at different revolving accounts, we were able to move another professional salary into the preschool revolving account. We reduced the operating budget by $300,000, and we received our confirmation we were looking for last time. So we actually moved that money. So we are getting a payment. If we didn't already get it this week, we expect to get it this week. And then we also received confirmation that we will be getting a final payment. So I have that in writing from Desi, a final payment for our homeless shelter funding. We will receive that this summer. So we will be submitting the data from March 1st to June 14th. And I think last summer we got it mid-August, something of that nature. So we are going to expect that as well. So that was good news on our end, so that we could use that in our planning for you tonight. So with all of those changes in those bullets, we managed to get the $678,000 down to the $104 million. It's here somewhere, the actual number. And, I know when we started this process, we spoke about, next steps, and that the school committee, likely in June, we would vote on, over the summer, if additional funds came in, this is what the school committee would like to see replenished for positions, for programming. I am actually, and so is Mr. Goslin, we are recommending at this point that we need to replenish our circuit breaker fund right now, so any additional funds. We have overspent I shouldn't use that word. Don't use that word. Sorry, we haven't overspent. I'm so sorry, no. We're spending more than we projected for our contracted services. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. Not overspent. Please retract that. That was awful, and I can't believe that actually came out of the superintendent's mouth. But we've spent more than we had anticipated, and, we are anticipating having to spend contracted services next year. Not because I want to, because I'm not sure what the staffing situation is going to be. Just having, we've posted some of our necessary positions at this point, and we're not getting many people applying for those positions. So, we're trying to see what we can do to do more recruiting. We have gone to several job fairs at this point, and it has not been very fruitful for us. So we are recommending that any additional funds, so if we get any more, salary changes, resignations that reduce, all of those funds at this point go to replenishing our circuit breaker account, so we can make sure that we are in a really healthy place as the school year starts. And so, if that changes, that is certainly something we can come back to the school committee for. But at this point, we both feel very strongly that we need to work to replenish that fund to make sure we're opening the school year with the highest amount we can to support any of those fluctuating, accounts that come with our special education costs, that come with our contracted service costs for staff, and things that we saw this year. So that's what we would be recommending. I outlined just in the next steps what happens next for us. If the school committee, you're not voting on anything tonight, you're basically saying yes, move forward to prepare everything that we have adjusted as the final budget, right? Which is what, hopefully you all brought your binders tonight that we can collect, that we will prepare this, membership. That we will prepare your budget book for the final, for the approval of the budget, which happens next Wednesday. So, that's what we're looking for tonight. If you have any questions, this table is now updated, so we've been able to reduce most of our positions are reductions because of vacancies, unfilled resignations, right? So I am happy to say that we haven't, this past situation, we weren't laying off anybody. These were moves that we were able to make because of those vacancies or unfilled positions. We're also hoping that, we know our profession. We also know we're not over, right? A lot happens to folks over the summer. Some choose to go elsewhere. That we may be able to bring back a few of the folks that we did give notice that would be laid off with this budget. We're hoping to be able to have those conversations with those folks in the coming weeks. Again, if we move forward with this, there are some spots for folks that we can bring back. Not everybody, but bringing a few folks, certified people back would be great for us. So,
Vice Chair?
with that, we'll go with questions and comments.
So, by moving the custodial operating budget money, is that going to create an increase in tuition for the before and after school? So we're not just moving the money to have parents pay it?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that was
Nope.
the case.
Nope, we sat with him and had a very lengthy conversation about what he can and could contribute without, at this like snapshot in time. No, nobody's looking for an increase in any tuitions for the before and after school program.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Zucco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So contracted services, because, again, I want to be clear, because I was thrown a number of $3 million. And I just want that, and I know you explained it, but I want people to understand, because that $3 million number, shocked me.
Yeah.
So I just want people, especially at home and staff, understand, like, because I don't like how that number is being thrown around.
Right, so we can look at the back page, the next step, so we calculated it, so you all can see exactly what we budgeted for salaries. For program assistance this year was 1.2 million of the vacancies, right? So we've had vacancies, we had to budget for those salaries, that added up to $1.2 million. What we are gonna be paying for program assistant contracted services is 1.9 million.
So with that being said, sorry, Mr.
This is
Chair.
what I mean by our, projection of contracted, we need to have money in our circuit breaker to be able to account for this kind of, if we don't fill all these positions.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yep.
follow.
Fine.
Okay, so that's where, if you look at those two numbers, it's like $3.1 million, correct? Like, is that what I mean by budgeted?
No,
Well,
so.
okay, see, as home, people are
So
texting me.
the amount that we budgeted for vacant PA salaries in the budget was 1.2 million. All right, so we didn't ever pay those program assistants money because they were vacant.
Yeah.
What we did pay is 1.9 million. So what we I should have added that. Then what we ended up paying more than we anticipated with the budget salaries was $700,000. So you don't combine that. I didn't pay out 1.2 million in salaries, right? Those were the vacant positions that we had to fill with contracted services.
Yeah, and what I'm saying, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, no, keep-
So what I'm saying is, that number that our paras have said to us, this is where they think, because of the vacant positions of budgeting, I'm assuming, because I keep hearing from the $3 million, when I clearly understand that it's 1.9.
Yeah.
But I just want them to understand, because I don't understand why they keep saying our numbers, that number. So that's why I'm asking that question, where they could possibly have found that number, which they saw the vacant positions of 1.2.
I think there was an estimated value that they were based on, that I calculated it after the last meeting that we had, that number was thrown out. So I had our special education department actually cost out what the last invoice would be, right? We're so close, I can actually cost that out, which they did for us. Right, and the program assistant vacancies are 1.9 million. So I don't want to confuse this, though, because this is the hard part about this. Nothing is black and white, and nothing is really easy around here, right? Because this is a one-for-one. PA salaries, I budgeted 1.2 million for the ones that were vacant, right? The PAs that I had to fill, because those were vacant, that were critical positions, 1.9 million. Now, that doesn't mean, because every year we have contracted services that we provide for, whether it's additional speech, whether it's RBTs that we need for certain kids, short-term, long-term, right? We do account for that, because that's not a group of people that we have in the a capacity, right? So we have contracted services other than this that it has nothing to do with the program assistance, right? So I do think it was an estimated cost of like maybe everything that they had at one point. They had a snapshot in time. But, I promised you guys I'd calculate it, and I did.
No, and that's the thing, I just, when I heard that number come out, I was very shocked by that. And I want them, especially the PAs, to understand that, because when they say that number, that's a lot of money for contracted services. And I just want them to understand that the regular budget that we paid out was 1.9, like we calculated.
Member Shabilia.
I want to try to clarify that, because what we paid out was an additional 700K.
Correct.
It's
You got it.
not 1.9.
That's why I should have added that one line of like what we actually paid over,
Right.
right? Is 700,000, we had to make sure we had budgeted and contracted services to pay over what I had in the approved budget for the salaries.
So I
So
just-
I'm missing one line there, I think, to help clarify that, you're right.
Yeah, I just want to make sure
What I'm
that's
trying to
clear,
say.
because these numbers are going to come back a couple of times to us, probably.
Yes.
And it's not an extra 1.9
No.
that's baked in. It's 700K overage from where we
Budgeted for the
budgeted
positions.
for staff
Correct.
versus what we had to contract out. So
Yes.
I want to make that clarification.
That's correct.
Member Willett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have we ever, with your association, with the Association of School Committees, have we ever mapped out, because there's now a 75% reimbursement from the state, right? Have we ever mapped out the differential if it was 100% reimbursement from the state? Have we ever had that done? Because we're talking about the proposal in the Senate to do $75 million for free tuition at community colleges. And yet we're scrambling to provide services to a well-needed population, and then we're sacrificing other portions of the budget. And I don't think that's fair to anybody, period. So have we ever mapped that out? Like if we, 100% reimbursement, the differential on it? Anybody?
Yeah, well, yearly, the special ed department actually calculates what 100% would be over the minimum. So they only reimburse over a certain threshold. They do calculate what that 100% would be. And then we determine, we used to use a number of 63% because the state was historically underfunding it. They've been better at funding it at 75%, so that's what we've been offsetting 75% of those tuitions based on that number. So every year, we do calculate what it would be if we were getting 100% of it back, and we only take off 75% off our budget.
So what would be the difference in number? What would be the number?
We'd have to.
Off the top of my head, we're talking this year.
Just hypothetically, how it would,
This year, I'm gonna say about 2.5 million.
So close, Mr. Goslin.
Okay.
If it was, so projection for next year, we're looking at, it would be about a 2.2 difference.
All right. And
With 100%.
And I think we're a top 20 district population-wise. Has that changed? Are we still in a top 20?
I'd have to look. I know we were like 13 at one point, but I'd have to look.
Okay. All right, so if you magnified it
I know.
across the Commonwealth, the difference between, and again, they should be maintaining their promise. It shouldn't be 1 year 63%, because that adds uncertainty to the budget. So it should be always 75% according to the law, or the people, the special ed population should be waging lawsuits against the state. But if we're talking about doing free tuition at community colleges, which again, I don't have a problem with that, but the foundation is K through 12. And that's where we're losing out, is that if we don't educate these kids and we have increases in class sizes, those kids are gonna be going to community colleges requiring remediation. So if we're not doing it, and I know they're talking about pre-K, and that's important, that's a foundation. K through 12 is a foundation, and community college is a foundation. Because right now, all we get is money for free meals, and I think there was something about enhancements to the energy and efficiency of schools. But we're struggling as a school district to make up gaps because of a person, a happenstance might be special ed, and that's not fair to their family or to the school district or to others if we're sacrificing every year. So I think maybe at the next school committee meeting, I might just do is another letter to the state that if we're talking about a millionaire's tax and they're talking about reallocating monies, I think that's a major factor is a circuit breaker law, is it should be 100%. Because you're talking about medically involved students, out-of-district placements, transportation, everything under the sun. And they deserve the education, but we have to sacrifice other portions of the budget, and that's not fair to anybody, period. So that's it. That's all I can say, because the state, again, is shortchanging us, and they're looking at other things. And it was funny how Mr. Shabilia hit it right on the head. He said, X amount of years ago, he looked at buying a house in Methuen because it was the strength of the educational system in Methuen. And I guarantee you right now is that people are looking in the paper and saying all these different communities are cutting collectively hundreds of millions of dollars from their education budgets, and say, well, maybe New Hampshire might be a better prospect for us. And don't tell me they're not doing that. So this is a disgrace what's happening, and I feel that we need to really focus with Beacon Hill collectively on this. Thank you.
Just one more note, you'll see, so as we prepare the budget books for you, if we move forward with this, you'll see, we didn't zero out and strike through all of these positions. The positions are in the budget. We don't feel we don't need these positions. We're keeping them there, especially a lot of the ones at the high school are there through attrition. And so, those are gonna be challenging, for sure. So you'll see them in the budget as $1, that holds the position, right, that we wouldn't come back to you each time or next year and say, these are new positions, when they really are just, we're carrying them forward, and hopefully, next year's finances look different from the state too, that we can start putting these positions back, right? The one thing we did hold, and I don't disagree that a classroom of 18 is a far better place to be than a classroom of 22 or 23. But we held on not going up to 25 in any of the K-4s. So, I told you guys last time, there are definitely in the 5/8s at this point, pretty consistently class sizes of 23 to 25, right? 22 to 25 is what we were looking at, but not over 25. And we did not go down to the K-4 to reduce more to get to 25. I think I heard that loud and clear, I believe in that, but we did go through for enrollment purposes to see where, if there was attrition, that we could actually move in that direction.
Member DeZoglio.
So just real quick again, so what is going to be the class sizes again? Because I'm just scrambling through. This is a summary from May 3rd.
So what would be easier is when we take your budget books and we actually put those 3-hole punch, and we're gonna put all the sheets back in, you'll have the class size for every grade level in every school right there. It's recalculated for us. If we had to eliminate a position or move something around or worked with enrollment, all the average class sizes are in that book. But our target was 5 through 8. We did reduce a few more positions the last time we met, 5 through 8, right? That was something I heard from the committee, not to go down to K-4. And we did that at the high school as well, by not filling, right? Each department is losing a staff member, again, mostly through attrition or vacant positions already that we haven't been able to fill. It's just been challenging. So that budget book would have that in there, but 5 through 8 right now, 23 to 25. We didn't have any that we calculated. There was no classrooms, no average over 25.
And to you, Mr. Chair, and for the public to know, because again, walking around the town in the last week, the L word was thrown around. So how many in total layoffs did we have?
It's like, I
just want
we're
the
gonna
public to
say
know.
it, yeah. So we had conversations with 6 people about their positions being eliminated that actually had people in them. So this is what I said earlier. Of the 6 people, there are a few that we're hoping to bring back, right? So if we move forward with this through attrition, people leaving, we have some moves, we could actually bring a few of those folks back. Not all of them. There are some that might fit. And so those are the conversations, right? This is the human part of this process, right? I'm meeting tomorrow morning with the principals at 8 a.m., and this is what we're talking about. If we're moving forward, if the school committee is in agreement to move forward with this, then that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna start having conversations with grade level teams and teachers and people, and start having the human part of the conversation and putting your budget binders together.
Just a
Member
quick
Matthews,
question. So with this, we will have class sizes higher, and it will be 25 students to a class?
No. So it's an average of 23 to 25, definitely not an average of 25 across the board.
23 to 25 with this proposed?
Yes. In the upper school.
With less, like, what are they, PAs, paras?
So there were no paras in addition in the upper school. The paras that were part of the ESSER 3 grant were only in the elementary.
Okay.
Well, there was, actually, I shouldn't say that. This year, they were K through 8, so they might have been supporting some of the upper school classrooms.
So that goes away?
That went away, yeah, those were grant funded. Everybody knew those were temporary positions.
And
COVID
class
related.
sizes go up?
In 5 through 8. And in different places in the high, right, there's gonna be pockets of places in the high school where we'll see some increased class sizes as well.
Okay. Anything else on the budget? So do you need an approval from us? Or are you looking for a?
I'm just looking for do we agree to move forward? Because once we start doing this tomorrow, we're updating everything. So all of the entire budget is in an Excel spreadsheet, so we would be reflecting these layers of changes in the school by school, plus minus, right? You'll get a new one of those, and you'll get new spreadsheets of staff, and you'll actually get the whole, for each school, you'll get every single line in an Excel spreadsheet. Copy, leases, all of that.
So actually, I'm just confused because this is my first time that I'm, thinking about this now. If I don't agree with this budget, which I'm going to say I don't, that doesn't change the fact of me allowing you to move forward, but there's a possibility that I could vote no on the budget.
Sure.
Okay, and I could state my reasons why at the next meeting. Okay, all right, that's what I'm saying. I just don't want to say yes, then I'm down the road saying.
We're not voting on anything official
Yeah,
tonight. I just need to know how to proceed because the timeline is tight, right? We have our public hearing on Wednesday, the 22nd, at 6 a.m. here. I'm sorry, maybe 6 a.m. would be better.
6 a.m. would be better, yeah.
6 p.m. here is our public hearing, right? So we'll open it up for public hearing. Our meeting will follow right after that, where you're going to approve the budget. It's a section by section approval, and then we will have our regular meeting.
Or you can vote no.
And the outcome of that evening needs to be in Maggie's, the CAFO's hands the next day.
Correct.
Because then we go in front of city
If
council.
you recall, we voted no on
Tuesday,
some things
Wednesday.
last year at the end. So, yeah. So, go ahead, Member Maxwell.
I just have one more question.
Of course.
I don't know if it's listed in here, so, excuse me for asking if it is, but are the risks and the interventionists still a part of the proposed budget, not taking those positions out?
Correct. So very good question, because you wouldn't see that here, so yes. So we did not remove the risk coordinator, we did not remove the crisis interventionist, I did not remove the special education teachers I need, the sub-separate teachers that we need, and I did not remove the ESL teachers that I have to have at the Tenney and the high school. So those new positions are still part of this budget. So we worked through all of that to make sure that we had staff for compliance services. I hear you. The behavior support is, I feel, very necessary, especially if we are increasing class sizes in some places. I think that support's going to be more important than ever to move forward.
Member Donovan.
And to follow up on that discussion. So we had talked a couple of weeks ago, maybe, about your staff looking at alternatives to providing support and discipline, like a Saturday detention, some after-school perhaps. If these offerings are not supported by the people who are being hired or could be hired, is there money in the budget to move forward with, to pay staff to staff?
Yeah. So another great question. So we would look at, we have money in the budget for professional stipends. We've accounted for the stipends that already exist. The one thing that we will not be able to, so yes, we're looking at different creative ways to help for after-school detention, Saturday schools, things like that. The cost that is, we cannot budget for is a bus. And so this has been our ongoing conversation over the past few months as well, is if we offer this, there is no room in this budget for me to just freely provide transportation, a late bus after school or a Saturday bus for kids. You know, we don't have that option in this budget. But we potentially have an option for staff. We have to look at it. I mean, that's definitely a summer planning to see where we end and where we land to start the new year. But we are talking about it. We have been talking about some creative ways. You know, the high school has Saturday school and after school and different programs, and they do not have buses. And they do kind of make it work. It's not, you know, perfect, but I think it's worth trying without a bus. You know, if it's something that is working and we try it and it's something we want in place for the future, I think that's where our staff is, right? Our leaders are at, like, let's give it a shot, because what do we have to lose, right? If we try it and it doesn't work and kids don't show up and can't get there, then we got to go back to the drawing board. But if we do this and we have these opportunities and we can organize that, again, we have nothing to lose by giving it a shot. So definitely part of our conversations. Yeah.
I'm confused at why we would have to prepare for transportation for disciplinary matters. Like if we call a Saturday detention because you broke the rules at school, that's on you and your parents to get you to Saturday detention. And if you can't fulfill that, then that goes on to the next disciplinary matter. So why would we be responsible for their transportation?
It's just thinking about how the sheer numbers of families that we have that don't have transportation, that do take our buses. We have a better shot of kids staying if we have a late bus of some kind to do that. So we're just trying to be thoughtful about that conversation.
Okay, just a time check, we are now at 9:27, we have 33 minutes left. Any other direction on the budget that you want to give the superintendent?
And please, yeah, just as you leave tonight, just drop your binders here.
Yep.
And we will, we'll work to make sure that we get those all cleaned up and in your hands by Friday. Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business, we have none. Excuse me? We put it, yeah, but
We put it in business of the committee, I think Ryan is
Put it
where.
other business for the committee, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. No, it's okay. So does the committee have any questions on the expenditure report? Right, Member Shabir?
So I know that it's noted in here that there is some available funds due to vacancies that are gonna be moved to circuit breaker.
I was actually going to remind you of that when you guys were having the conversation about the 700,000 of PAs.
Yes.
And so my intent tonight is to ask you to transfer a total of 1.9 million into contractual services. That will do two things. I'll be able to replenish that $700,000 into circuit breaker, as well as pre-purchase $1.2 million in tuitions, FY25 tuitions, to offset the FY25 budget.
When we get into the 13th month for accounting purposes, is there a chance that there's any left?
There will be more.
So there will be more.
There will
That's what I was
be
trying
more.
to get at without saying.
Yeah,
Says it
I'm
quietly
not
at
down
the
to the
end.
penny right now. This is a conservative estimate.
Okay.
I don't want to take money out and then have to put it back, like, so this is a conservative estimate. There will be some. Don't get too happy. I don't envision there's going to be another million.
Something's better than nothing.
Yeah, but there will definitely be, we're in a good spot, well, because of the vacancies, financially, we're in a pretty good spot, but we have used a good chunk of our circuit breaker, so I'd like to replenish that before it goes away.
And this is a conversation we've had, in years past, and the CAFO is fully aware that we're doing this. This is practice that we put in place probably 6 years ago, and any time that we can, we should. And that was something that, when she came on board, and Sean Cronin, definitely told us the first year, we need to get the circuit. It's the only account we have that we can carry forward year to year, and we know we're gonna use. We need that money, we know we're gonna use it. So it's good practice.
And as if on cue, I will say, may I have a motion and a second to approve the transfer of funds in the amount of $900,000 from professional salaries to contracted services?
So moved.
Moved by Member DiZoglio, seconded by the Vice Chair. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Thank you, the ayes carry unanimously, Martha. May I have a motion and a second to approve the transfer of funds in the amount of $1 million from other salaries to contracted services?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by the Vice Chair, seconded by Member DiZoglio. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes carry unanimously. Thank you, Martha.
Thank you.
Moving on to the revolving funds report. Does the committee have any questions? Take that as a no. Moving on to the grants report.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm playing catch-up, trying to read the notes. that
It's
I put
okay.
down here. For the Lost Books Chromebook repair, I see that for year-to-date, we've only spent $61, but we've brought in almost 16 grand. What is that money used for?
We're in the process of purchasing chargers, replacement chargers, and parts for Chromebooks. We just haven't bought any yet. So when somebody loses a charger and they pay whatever that is, $20 or whatever it is, it goes into that account. We're in the process of getting quotes to purchase mass number of chargers. Those will then go out to the schools and the offices, so that when a kid needs to buy one, they can buy one.
Right, and there was a slew of grants that have the remaining balance that matches their FY '24 starting balance. Will those all be zeroed out by 6:30?
I mean, that's our goal, unless it's a multi-year grant. I can go through those with you, like, personally, if you'd like.
Yeah, but why does,
I'd have to look to see which one you're talking about.
it's
too.
an old, I think we have the wrong report.
We have the wrong report?
It says 10/31/23.
It does say 10/31/23.
I'm still on the revolt.
Signed by DocuSign, though. We got the electronic signature right. Got the date wrong in the report.
Maybe the report's right and the date's wrong.
No, because those were, when it says needs setup, that's what we did when we started Munis, so we know those were all set up and paid out. That's
Okay,
what,
Martha.
that's what clued me in to look at the date. It's okay. We will have an updated one for you. at the
I
next meeting.
will reserve my question until
We'll get that grant report to you tomorrow.
rush.
It's, because it's all electronic, the wrong tab was pulled. It came up, she pulled the October tab instead of the April tab. So it's in the spreadsheet, it's just the wrong tab was pulled, and I'll get it to you tomorrow
New
morning.
platform jitters.
We got it
Yeah.
then. We got the electronic, that's why I'm proud of the fact that we got it all electronically signed.
Moving on to the grants report. Does the committee have any questions? Moving on to student activity counts. Does the committee have any questions? Go ahead, Member Maxwell.
The student activity accounts, I know I have a lot of questions when it comes to that. I'm sorry, Ian. How does, I'm just looking at the high school, but let's say the yearbook, for instance, how does the yearbook teacher access money if she needs money to make something happen for the yearbook club?
So say they're going to buy yearbooks.
Yep.
We get a quote from the company. They send us the quote with a disbursement request. I mean, kids have paid for it, the money's been deposited. We have the quote. Then a check is prepared for that company, and it is sent out, and then the yearbooks are delivered or purchased.
Okay, so
Yep.
any of the clubs, the teachers just come and request the reimbursement, or do they just request the
We
supply?
strongly encourage them not to do reimbursement.
Right.
Just say, I need this.
Yeah, like if you collect money for a field trip, you
Yep.
collect it, deposit it.
Yep.
And now that teacher has to come back, like the grade 1 team lead, and says, okay,
The Museum of Science costs this much.
Yep.
With the quote, but I need it from the Museum of Science. Yeah, and then a check would be prepared.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long does that typically take, like the turnaround for that? So if you needed band equipment and there was a band concert, how long would they need to request it before you could
We
get it?
prefer they do it a week, at least a week out.
Okay, so a week.
Preferably more.
All right.
We often get stuck with, we have a field trip on Wednesday, how do I get a check? It's Tuesday night.
Okay, that's crazy.
So, sometimes it's magic.
I just wanted to make sure that it was accessible to the actual team lead or the teacher that was leading that program.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Moving on to the food services report. Committee have any questions? I always have questions. For bologna and cheese.
Bologna and
yeah.
cheese, yeah.
Okay, moving on to contract approval. May I have a motion and a second to approve the contract for the Tenny Grammar School Electrical Updates Project awarded to Lifestyle Electric, 100 Sweet Hill Road, Plastow, New Hampshire, 03865, in the amount of $76,101.
So moved.
Moved by Member Willett,
Second.
seconded by Vice Chair. Discussion. Member Shabilia.
So my first question is, I know a lot of this contract is templated, but for the DIY sections, who proofs those? Do we have a council that reviews that? Is it reviewed by?
Well, it's reviewed by the purchasing department.
All
Yeah,
right.
procurement.
So I guess my feedback for, under definition of terms, what they're calling substantial completion, I think given the scope of this project, that's a little too vague for my liking. We're talking about, what, live electrical on this one?
Yep.
And substantial completion when you're gonna have how many kids running around the building? I mean, that's,
Let me explain exactly what
Yeah.
this is. While they were doing the roof last summer, it came to a middle section where they're about to redo the roof, and they found electrical conduit underneath the roof in a manner in which it could not stay there, because they were afraid that they were gonna penetrate those lines, et cetera. So they stopped the project. That middle section was not done until that electrical could be rerouted underneath the roof, inside, in a safe manner. So we went out to bid for that. That's what the quote is. Once school is out, and we have no kids in there, the roofers will be coming back in, we'll be shutting off that electricity, so the electricians will be working underneath, rerouting the electrical, while the roofers are finishing the middle part of the roof.
so at no time,
It's not gonna be.
if the worst stuff happens and this does stretch into September, at no point is this electrical
No.
No,
in a
The electrical has to
kid-accessible
happen
area.
first.
yeah.
So they can't come back and do the roof until electrical. So once they take care of all of that and start rewiring underneath safely, then the roofers can come back. So some of the work can be done simultaneously, but the electrical has to go in first to take care of what they need to, and it can't happen until we're out of school because power has to be off to do that.
All right,
So-
my other comment is under section 4C for permit and fees, unless otherwise expressly provided, the contractor shall secure and pay for all permits, licenses, and so on and so forth. I would move to strike unless otherwise expressly provided. I don't think we should be letting any contractor anywhere in the city avoid getting their permits and inspections, so.
That's fine. I imagine if they're doing something for inspectional services, maybe they don't need it.
Well-
I don't know, it's a boilerplate. I don't know all the situations where that would come into play. But there might be some situations where permit's not required, but they'd probably need written proof of that. In
Yeah,
this
it's just-
case, they need a permit.
This allows a handshake between the project manager and the vendor saying, hey, don't worry about it, you don't need a permit.
Right.
And we should be taking all necessary precautions and getting our building inspector and electrical inspector out there to do their thing. So with that, how do I have to, like, motion to make that change? How does that work? Or is it just something you guys do?
I can do it. I can do it, no problem. I can change the template that we used.
All right.
I mean, that's not an issue. It's not signed yet.
Right.
I'll have to, actually, it's signed by them. It hasn't been signed by us.
No,
I
I'm
won't
not.
sign it until you guys vote on it.
Right.
But we'll send it back to them and make sure that they are aware that that section was stricken.
But I think the safest way is to take a vote on the, a recommended amendment to the contract.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So,
Removing that statement.
so there's an
in
amendment,
4C.
a friendly amendment on the floor to strike, you want to repeat the words, Member Shabilia?
Yeah, in the actual section again.
To strike, section 4C, unless otherwise expressly provided.
Say it again? Yeah. So all those in favor of that well, we have to go to roll call. I'm sorry? Did you do a motion in a second? We did do a motion, didn't we? Or did I miss?
Not yet.
I'm sorry. Fade. I need a motion and a second.
Second.
I got a motion from Member Shabilia, I got a second from the Vice Chair. I think we have to go to roll call, because you have to make a note that Member Willett has left the meeting at 9:38 PM.
I already did that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, roll call if you would, Martha.
Member DiZoglio?
Yes.
Member Donovan?
Yes.
Member Keegan? Yes. Member Maxwell?
Yes.
Member Shabilia?
Yes.
Nicolette left the building. Mayor Neil Perry?
Yes.
Unanimous, 6-0.
Thank you.
And one more, and my last one on this one. 4P, last paragraph down there, it says the cost under C shall be added to a fixed fee to be agreed upon but not to exceed 15%. So the ambiguity that creates, adding 15% to the already large number of this contract, $76,000. I mean, if we're gonna say we're gonna add something, let's put it in writing. Let's not contract to come up with a number to be determined later.
I agree with that. Usually we get change orders, and those are,
Correct.
yeah,
Has to be a change order.
yeah, has to be a change order.
Member Sir.
Point of clarity, what? What does that mean? Like, I'm just asking a question now, like,
Oh, yeah.
'cause I'm curious. I have no idea what you just said. So explain that to me with the 15.
So it's the fixed fee to be agreed upon but not to exceed 15% of the actual cost of work relates back to C, which is 2 lines above, power and consumable supplies for the operation of power equipment. So think of it as brakes on your car. They're charging you, let's call it a VIG, on the stuff that they're using that is consumable that they're not going to get back. So in this case, it may be, I don't know, conduit or crimps, or one-time use crimp things. I'm not an electrician, I don't know. But it's that stuff and the power to power them, which they're using our power. So I assume they're gonna plug their equipment into the outlets in our building. So,
So going off your the brake analogy, so I supply the brakes, and they're charging me to use my brakes to plug in the bolts.
No.
No, like
No.
I'm confused with your analogy. Like I said, I'm just curious, just trying to learn this.
you're paying for the brakes,
Yeah.
and then they're charging you for the tools they're using to put those brakes on.
Correct.
In addition to the fee they're charging you for the service.
Okay. Okay, makes sense. Now, thank you.
So, I mean, that's my only gripe, if we
Yep.
can be
Yeah.
specific.
Are you looking for an amendment, or?
I guess so,
Um,
maybe.
Okay. Everything in there, I'm assuming they're not gonna open it up and see a different rat nest than what
They
they've
already
already
know.
seen.
Right.
So like, if I was worried about them opening up something that hasn't been opened, or they don't know what they're working with, then that's unforeseen, like,
No, this.
change of
This
work.
is a change order section is in here.
Yeah,
Has nothing to do with change orders. This is a consumable expense. Change orders are
unexpected,
listed.
unexpected change, unexpected. They
Change
know they're doing
orders-
electrical work, they're gonna show up with electrical wire, that's in the quote. Like,
Change orders are listed somewhere else. I don't have it highlighted because I didn't have any issues with it. But this one is relating back to C.
this says there should be no changes in the work unless agreed upon.
Yeah. So if there's a scope change, they open up the ceiling and all of a sudden they find another conduit underneath another conduit.
Then there'd have to be an agreement.
That's a different,
Right,
yeah. So,
no changes to what we asked them to do unless there's a formal agreement. That's how I read that.
Right.
all right.
So we voted yes on the friendly amendment. We still have to vote yes on the contract. So I need a first and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Member Shabilia,
Second.
seconded by the Vice Chair. Any further discussion? Martha?
Member DiZoglio?
Because of these questions being drawn up, I'm gonna vote present because I'm now confused.
Mary Beth Donovan?
Yes.
Lori Keegan?
Yes.
Krista Maxwell?
Yes.
Daniel Shabilia?
Yes.
Kenneth Willets, not present. Mayor Neil Perry?
Yes. Motion carries, thank you.
Thank you.
Paul? May I have a motion and a second to approve the contract for the Methuen High School walkway/parking improvement project awarded to J.J. Phelan and Company, J.J. Phelan and Son Company Incorporated, 120 Lumber Lane, Tewksbury, Mass. 01879, in the amount of $1,195,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by the Vice Chair, seconded by Member DiZoglio. Discussion. Member Shabilia.
Make a friendly amendment to section 4C to strike the first four words unless otherwise expressly provided.
Same thing.
It's the same thing from the last one.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Vice Chair, seconded by Member DiZoglio. We have a friendly amendment to strike 4C, Section 4C. I didn't get all the words, I'm sorry.
Unless otherwise expressly provided.
Thank you. So to strike unless otherwise expressly provided. I know.
Nope, I'm noticing that because this is our template of a contract.
Yeah.
Member Shabilia might bring up the changes.
Yep.
I'm gonna let it go for right now, but we're gonna chat.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
I understand. It might be in the car. I understand the use of templated contracts. Nobody writes contracts from scratch anymore. They just don't do that, but like.
So we have the friendly amendment on the floor. We need a roll call vote on that, please.
Member DiZoglio?
Yes.
Member Donovan?
Yes.
Member Keegan?
Yes.
Member Maxwell?
Yes.
Member Shabilia?
Yes.
Let's see, not here. Mayor Neil Perry?
Yes. Thank you, that carries unanimously. So then we're back to the contract itself, to approve the contract in the amount of $1.195 million.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
Knowing that this is ADA project stemming from, let's call them ADA issues?
Yep.
No?
It's a,
Yes and no.
Yes and no?
Yes and
it's an ice rink change in entrance with ADA parking. We're gonna change the entrance of the ice rink door. right? So that people are not wandering through the building.
Right.
So that is the main focus for this project, with the addition of changing the bus loop to make sure we have everything compliant that we need in the field house, the new ice rink, and the field.
Yeah,
And I
right.
say that because the funding from this is coming from ESSER 3 to get approval for. And the main part of this is the ice rink door, that we're shifting the parking and the main entrance to the ice rink around back, so we do not have to keep that auditorium door unlocked and people running through the building for the ice rink.
But then, so then there's a piece in the front that the city is paying for, around the bus loop.
Yes.
To provide
Second
ADA
project.
spaces, and then subsequent to the parking
Bless
lot.
you.
So that contract's on city council agenda for May 20th. And then subsequent to that will be the tennis courts, the ADA walkway,
All
and
of
the
it.
pickleball courts, which
Yeah.
is a third contract, right? So they're sequenced.
We'll be at the city council meeting
Correct.
with Bruce and Steve Angelo and
Yep.
the mayor, going through all three of these final approvals. They all kind of are, city council has interest in this, obviously, for all the right reasons. So these three contracts will be presented to them.
Yep.
But because the fundings, you have authority over the funding, you need to approve the contract.
So my concern is Methuen historically, going back more years than I am probably aware of, has not managed its ADA compliance very well. And I just want to ensure that we are keeping a close eye on this, be it the mayor, whoever the engineer is, to make sure that 3 years after this is done, we're not getting an ADA complaint because it's not compliant.
Well, I can tell you it is something that the engineer is all about. And we actually went even to, myself and Bruce took the plans and went to the Disability Commission and had a public meeting that we spoke about it there. And, and showed them the plans and made sure we had all the right numbers of spots in the right locations where we could, to make sure that we are in a much better space for both the entrance and the bus loop area and the ice rink. I mean, we really are expanding and adding accessibility to this building tremendously.
Member DeZoga?
Yeah, just a quick, that's the thing, going off of memorabilia of the past history with ADA compliance, not just in this area, but throughout the whole town. I would like to, have updates with the engineer as well, maybe bring him in, just to keep us updated as well. I love that you went to the Disability Commission, I like that, but I feel like if all parties are in the loop and we keep asking those questions, we can relate it back to our constituents as well. I just feel like just keeping us in the loop.
I don't know what to say.
I know, I don't know,
You can add any updates to the facility report.
oh, maybe that's the way we can do it.
Well,
I was gonna say, asking,
so just
asking,
so, and I didn't want to bring, so the city of Methuen's in receipt of a $100,000 grant that council's going to accept the 20th to assess all the school buildings and for egresses and entrances, right? So to do the whole, any public building is going to be assessed, right? And there'll be a file kept. Does the city have a great track record? No, but I mean, I would tell you, we have an ADA officer who's presides over that. So somebody whose position in the city is to what? She applied for the grant, she got the grant for $100,000, and now we're gonna roll that out and assess every building and see, is it not just, because when you say, can you bring the engineer? I worry about bringing the engineer from this project in. I mean, when the project is done, he's gonna walk away, right? So his job is not to keep the city mindful of ADA. His job is to make sure that what we have is
contractors, yeah.
ADA compliant,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
Isn't this work being done over the summer when we don't have meetings anyway, so having updates is impractical?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're right, yes.
We hope.
We hope, I mean, we expect the ground to break on June 17th.
Correct.
Right, so we get out Friday, and we expect, just like the parking lots last summer, the next day, there will be machines on site. This one is particularly tricky, but super important. I think Bruce and Steven and the folks from the city with Steve Gagnon and Joe, I think they have a good handle on the scope of this project. It's massive, right? So you can imagine what that side of the high school is gonna look like, and also the front.
Right.
So we have some logistics to go through, because the high school has to function in the summer, right, with programming. So, you know, Mr. Barden and we've already started talking about that, and we're gonna meet with the senior custodian, like logistics, where's people are gonna park? Is Ranger Road gonna be blocked because of construction, right? So we have some work to do to make sure everybody knows, the community knows, you know, where you can and can't drive in, but it is going to be, pretty phenomenal,
Yeah.
right? And so we also know that the bus loop has to be done by August 25th.
Correct.
The tennis courts, we know, are gonna go into the fall. And we have to be okay with that. You know, there's no season, there's no that. That's before the winter that has to be done. So everybody's been working together. It is a massive project, but, you know, we're confident with who we're working with and what we need to get done, and the people who are gonna be managing it can help us, you know, maintain the pace of it. But you're right, we don't typically meet in July. You know, but that doesn't mean I can't keep you updated through pictures and emails and everything else over the summer that you guys would love to get.
All right, 9:55 PM, he said. So we still need to vote on the contract itself. I don't believe we voted on the friendly amendment, we did not vote on the contract,
Correct.
correct? So Martha, can you call the roll quickly?
Member DiZoglio?
Yes.
Member Donovan? Member Keegan?
Yes.
Member Maxwell?
Yes.
Member Shabilia?
Yes.
Mayor Neil Perry?
Yes, thank you all, unanimous, carries. Notification of appointments and other personnel matters, there are none. Business from the committee. May I have a motion and a second to approve the Transportation Subcommittee minutes for April 30th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
By Member DiZoglio, seconded by Member Shabilia, in a tight race. Any discussion?
Has that project kicked off?
It has begun. NRT has been notified, and they are being told what reports and data they need at this point. So yes, we're excited.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Martha? Sorry.
Member DiZoglio?
Yes.
Member Donovan? Member Keegan?
Yes.
Member Maxwell?
Yes.
Member Shabilia?
Yes.
Mayor Neil Perry?
Present, because I didn't attend the meeting, sorry. Other business from the committee, nominations for the, I can't read my own writing, Residency Subcommittee.
Yeah.
So, did you want to open the floor for nominations to the Residency Subcommittee?
Yeah.
Okay.
If anybody would join this, because that's what this policy we're gonna bring forth in the next couple of weeks. We had a subcommittee, we worked on it, met with each other, and that's why it's gonna be successful. But since the last subcommittee, laws have changed, so when this policy is brought forward, it'd be great to have a subcommittee that continues to work and bring up updates, and then when we meet in May, we're not asking 1,000 questions. So I would like, if anybody's
Is there
willing to
anybody
take
that
it
would
up.
like to nominate themselves or others for membership to the Residency Subcommittee?
I would like to nominate Member DiZoglio.
Thank you. I will.
Aren't you already on it?
Yeah, I was already nominated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Sole
the
member.
sole
I need
member
someone
of
to join.
a committee that he can't be a member of one.
If I may.
Go ahead, please.
Knowing that this is going to be, the policy is going to be on the agenda for our next meeting, my suggestion, and I can bring the motion if the body would like, let's table this until after we have the conversation about the policy, and that way it becomes more timely and topical, and we can see how it's gonna set up. Because I understand Member DiZoglio's
put
point
it
of view. Let's have it set up and ready when we need it, but let's do it in tandem with the policy if we're doing it at the next meeting. I don't think anything changes between now and then.
So there's a motion on the floor to table? I need a second? Did you second? I have a second from Member Donovan. All those in favor of tabling? Oh, I gotta go to, sorry.
Oh, you're fine to do it.
Am I? All those in favor of tabling signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ayes carry, the motion is tabled. Thank you, Member Shabilia. With no further business to discuss, may I have a motion and a second to adjourn this business session?
So moved.
May 13th, let me finish, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Member DeZargo, seconded by Member Shabilia. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The meeting is adjourned at 9:59 PM.
Good night, Methuen.